Hello and welcome back to another David Rams live stream with me, David Rams. Now, guys, today we're going to be taking a look at Gordon Ramsay, a bit of a look at his, I suppose you could call it, journey with regards to his opinions on veganism, vegan food, and if it's changed or not. Because he's got a pretty colourful history when it comes to veganism, vegan food, and actually vegetarians as well. He's had a lot of things to say about these people, vegans, vegetarians, and also the food that vegans, vegetarians eat. And recently, it looks like there's been more coming from him on these topics, and that's what we're going to get into. We're going to look at the whole history, the whole journey up until present day. So if you're here to talk about Gordon Ramsay, if you're here to find out what's going on, you're in the right place. But not only that today, because this is going to be a long stream. So if you're joining the stream now and you on the replay, so it's already been live and it's 3 hours long, just bear in mind the Gordon Ramsay segment will not be 3 hours long. This is going to be a stream where we talk about lots of stuff, but we're starting with the Gordon Ramsay stuff. The other stuff that I'm going to be talking about today that you might be interested in, going to be taking a look at a video that talks about, tries to make the claim that veganism is a cult and even has a cult leader, which is interesting. And they have their idea about who this leader is. So don't miss that. That's going to be interesting. We're also going to have a look at some protests that happened over in England where some vegans blocked people from buying meat in a grocery store. And actually, we're going to be looking at a reaction from two people who are not vegan and what they had to say about the protest. I'm actually kind of curious to see what the general consensus is and, what people are saying about this. Because, yeah, and I've got my own opinions on that, which I'll obviously give you a little later on as well. We might have a little look at this some viral vegan mozzarella thing. And apparently this is going viral on TikTok right now. I'm curious to know what that's all about. Some mozzarella. We're going to have a look at something going on in Canada, some crazy stuff with ostriches, which is going on in Canada, which is quite sad, but interesting. We need to take a look at, I think. And there's a couple of other kind of trolly videos as well that we'll have a look at. So we got a lot going on today. Now, we're going to kick things off, as I said, by talking about Gordon Ramsay. Those of you who are outside of the UK and America might not even fully understand or know who this guy is. I know he used to be very famous, Gordon Ramsay. This is him. You've probably seen his face around, right? So he's a celebrity chef from England, and he got really, really big back in the day because he swears a lot and he's quite aggressive, and he just tells people to their face what he doesn't like about them or their food or their cooking or whatever. He got really famous for it. He did this, I think, Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen, MasterChef, all the big cooking programs, basically. He's been on all of them. He hosts probably the biggest ones in the world. I mean, actually, let's have a little look at which ones he even hosts. Where are we looking at? He's won awards and stuff. Yeah, he's won awards for his restaurants, stuff like that. He's been in documentaries. There you go, Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. That was a big UK thing. I'm pretty sure America had one too. Hell's Kitchen, reality show where he goes around to people's restaurants and absolutely destroys them. Yeah, they did an American Hell's Kitchen. They did an American Kitchen Nightmares. So yeah, he's had a very, very long career. Yeah, a couple of you guys saying you never heard of him. Well, this is why I'm telling you. He's had a very long career, and he's probably one of the most, if you're into cooking and you're into like that kind of world, he's probably the most famous person in that world. At least that's what I thought anyway. If you go on YouTube, his videos and the videos about him have like millions and millions of views, and he's had millions and millions of hits, all these TV channels, all these TV shows and all these TV channels. So yeah, he's a pretty big deal. All along the way though, he has had pretty mean-spirited things to say about vegans and vegetarians, this guy. And whether you know about him or not, as I see a couple people don't know about him, he is influential. And so I had a little look to go see if we could go back through the very first kind of comments he made about vegans, vegetarians, because I figured that would be a nice place to start for you guys to get an idea of what he's been saying. So here's a little article from 2007 where he said, "My biggest nightmare would be if the kids ever came up to me and said, 'Dad, I'm a vegetarian.' Then I would sit them on the fence and electrocute them." He's talking about an electric fence that he had because he had animals. So he's talking about if his kids were veggie, he would stick them on an electric fence. Spoiler alert, by the way, one of his kids, I believe, is vegetarian. I don't know if he stuck her on an electric fence, but anyway, that's one thing that he said. It's probably one of the earlier things he said. Then we can fast forward a little bit, and there was an interview he did where he also said some stuff as well. I'll load this up for you about vegetarians again. And yeah, so he said some stuff here as well. There you go. Let's have a look. This was in an interview he did back about 2014, about 7 years after that. Check this out.
What do you think of vegetarians?
I'm allergic to vegetarians.
Oh, I see.
I come out in a rash and my skin starts getting irritated. Truthfully, I have 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. Amazing
And
kids.
you wouldn't allow them to be vegetarians?
But I pay them never to become a vegetarian. So my youngest, Matilda, said, Dad, if you don't buy me those new Dr. Martens for Christmas, I promise you, I'm going to become vegetarian. Terrible. Honestly, I mean, you know, there's a level of protein that we all need, and there's a level of, you know, starch that we need in terms of daily balance. So it really makes chefs work a little bit harder to create vegetarian food to become just as exciting as your normal food on the menu. But yeah, vegetarians, ooh.
And now you're...
So yeah, again, not particularly. I mean, in that clip, he was making some jokes, but it wasn't too bad. But it's still the case is that it's not particularly friendly, and a little, you know, he gets like about vegetarians and stuff. There's a more sinister clip that I'm going to show you right now. This one's actually pretty. We've got 2 quite sinister clips of some of his bad behavior in the past when it comes to people, veggies and vegans. There's this one, which I'll let the clip do the talking. I won't spoil what happens, but it's pretty bad.
Have you got 2 seconds? We've just made these amazing pizzas. I want this lady's coming to taste them. Would you come in and just taste them with us? You look like a man a little bit undernourished. I bet you're a vegetarian.
I am.
Oh, there you go. Right, we have a vegetarian pizza. How long have you been vegetarian?
About 8 years.
Oh, God.
That's been fairly
Really?
well. Yeah. I would go for that one.
The mozzarella one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's got lots of mozzarella and tomato, but underneath that, it's Parma ham.
Oh no, that was me.
You converted to vegetarian, yeah? Okay. Would you like some more?
No, thank you.
Oh, come on. There's nothing wrong with you now. You haven't come out in a big rash.
That's
Thank you, Bob. Take care. Good luck with the Vegemite.
So yeah, that was definitely a really nasty thing for him to do, because the guy told him before, as he's going in, the guy told him I'm a vegetarian. He knew damn well that those pizzas weren't vegetarian, and then he let him eat it anyway. Which that's probably the most kind of nastiest thing he's actually done. Not necessarily said, but done, because that's it's just downright mean, isn't it? You know, to do that to somebody as deceitful. I'm surprised. I mean, I don't think we don't really have this kind of lawsuit culture over in England, but in America, I think that would have been a big lawsuit if he. Yeah, he's lucky to have gotten away with that one. Very mean thing to do to somebody who's made a choice to not eat animals, to feed them animals, and tricking them into eating animals and knowing that you're doing it. So a very mean thing to do there. Continuing with that same theme of him being a bit of a douchebag, we have this as well. It's a tweet from back in 2018. I'm a member of PETA, People Eating Tasty Animals. Yeah, I mean, maybe that was that like something unique back in 2018? I've heard this a hell of a lot of times, but maybe back in 2018 this was like a newer thing to say. But obviously these days, everyone says that. It's kind of like hack, isn't it? Everyone bloody says it. Something that vegans and vegetarians are very much used to hearing, or anybody who tries to speak up for animals, defend animals, has heard that one. And then he also did this one a little bit earlier than that, 2016. Someone said, Gordon Ramsay, are you allergic to anything? And he said vegans. So as you can see, he's gone from being allergic to vegetarians to obviously now being allergic to vegans back then. So yeah. So that's kind of the most of the history. Actually, there was a little bit more, actually, because there was his clash. This is where you might know him from. He had a very public clash with none other than the vegan teacher. Any of you guys saw this? You know, they had the whole big back and forth on TikTok. This is where some of you might recognize him from.
Eating animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Hurting animals is wrong, Gordon Ramsay. Share this song, and if you call me a donut, that's fine.
Vegan
As long as
donut.
you're vegan from now on.
So yeah, he had a little bit of a to and fro. Basically I believe this is just one of them. I think there was another 2 or 3 where he was just saying, just eating meat in response, basically. Your typical response. There was that as well. And that actually was that got vegan teacher absolutely, it exploded her popularity around that time, I believe. Now, this I believe this was around 2021. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was around 2021. Now, interestingly, something else happened around 2021. And this is where things started to get a little bit interesting. And things you would never have expected started to happen. So this video from Gordon Ramsay's own website, I believe this was back in, March 2021. He posted this. It says, Gordon Ramsay goes vegan for steak.
Hi guys, it's Gordon. I got a confession. After 3 decades of cooking, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hours behind the stove, I'm turning vegan.
Char.
Now, who would have expected this? Making steak out of an aubergine.
Sprinkle. Toss. Mix. Season. Oil. Roast.
I could never imagine how an aubergine could look anything like a steak or taste anything like a steak. But if Gordon Ramsay's doing
Reduce.
it as a chef,
Butter.
it must be something decent, right?
Simmer. Roast. Baste. Slice. Oil. Season. Butter. Sprinkle.
Has anyone ever made this,
Based.
by the way? I never even saw this until
Plate.
literally yesterday.
Spoon. Serve.
I'm gonna stay at that. Unreal.
Sauce. Garnish. Vegan steak dinner. Happily done.
I'm turning vegan. For lunch only. Hi guys.
No, this wasn't trolling, guys. That's a legit recipe. And he actually made that, and lots of people also made that. This is not a fake video. He made a vegan steak out of a bloody aubergine. See that there? That's the aubergine on top. Which to me is just wild. You can see it there. Crazy. I like how some of you guys are saying he's trolling. If he's trolling, it's the most epic troll that's ever been done. He trolled in terms of saying that, oh, he's going vegan. Yeah, obviously he was messing around with that, but that's a legit recipe and a legit aubergine that ends up looking like that, which is absolutely wild. So it's kind of interesting how he popped out with that in 2021 after saying all those horrible things about vegans, right? And also going at vegan teacher as well. And I thought, well, okay, let's look further into this. And there is more stuff. There are more things. It does go bad again. I'll give you a spoiler, but we're gonna. There's a point to all of this. Stay with me, all right? We're trying to find out if he still hates vegans or not. Now, him doing one recipe doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't hate vegans anymore, hate vegan food anymore. But Take a look at this. Something else he did in 2021. He did an advertisement for Silk, you know, the American oat milk brand, or American plant milk brand. Check this out. Oh, hold up. We got a bit of lag. Here we go. Let's get the audio on. Oh my God. There we try again.
Gordon Ramsay, the goat of yelling in kitchens. You know what else is goat? Silk oats. It's the goat of oat milk. What are you the goat of? Hi guys, it's me, Gordon Ramsay, the goat of yelling in kitchens. You know what else is goat? Silk oats. It's the goat of oat milk. What are you the goat of?
So that's pretty wild too. So he promoted Silk oat milk. He did like an actual sponsored ad with them, which, you know, obviously, at the end of the day, money's money, right? But for somebody who apparently has an allergy to vegans and doesn't seem particularly supportive of vegan and veggie food, pretty crazy that he would suddenly do a vegan recipe for a steak and then also do an advertisement for Silk plant-based milk. So it suggested that something was maybe shifting in him, that he was actually softening up to the veggie vegan food, which is obviously a very good thing. It's an interesting little journey he's been on. But then around the same time, I believe that year, he did something very, very silly, which some of you might have already seen, which is this.
Going to eat you. Yummy, yum, 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 yum. Yummy, yum, 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 yum. Which one's going in the oven first? You. Oven time.
So that kind of set things back quite significantly. It's a bit of a confusing thing because he seemed to be more open, listening a little more, I suppose, to the vegans, doing vegan recipes, sponsored by vegan companies, doing a sponsorship for vegan companies, and then he, you know, creepily climbs into a pen of animals, and at the end of the day, it's not like the lambs could understand what's going on. They don't understand what he's saying, right? So it's not that it's mean on them for that reason. What's more the problem here is that he actually is going to kill and eat one of these lambs. So it's not like a joke. And it's just behavior that you would imagine that somebody who is proper demented would do. It'd be kind of like taking a human baby and just saying really horrible things to them. We're not upset about that because we think the baby understands English. We're upset about it because of the principle around it, because of what it means that you are willing to threaten somebody who doesn't even understand you're threatening them. It'd be like threatening a very severely mentally disabled person who absolutely has no idea of what you're saying, and that you take advantage of the fact they have no idea what you're saying to say horrible things that you're going to do to them before you do it to them. It's just very sinister, isn't it? I guess that's what I'm looking for, the word I'm looking for. Very, very sinister behavior. And he actually, he did obviously go ahead and kill and eat one of these lambs because he is not a vegan. He is not even a vegetarian. He makes, as far as I know, he doesn't make any kind of ethical decisions when it comes to food. You could correct me if I'm wrong there, but I'm pretty sure ethics does not come into his choices on what he eats, right? So that was quite a sad video when that came out, and just very very demented, I would say, really demented, and a huge step back considering he did seem to be going down a good path. Now more recently, the most recent stuff I could find to give you, we're going to give you the full picture here as to like, where is he at, right? This guy. And again, to reiterate here, it's not about, where's he at because we're all such big fans. It's more that where's he at because he's got a big influence on the world, and people who aren't vegan listen to what he has to say. So it is important. And also he is an expert in his field, right? He's an expert chef. He is one of the top people in that world of cooking and chef programs and stuff like that. So what he backs and what he supports is it holds a lot of weight. It's kind of like if a footballer supports a certain pair of football boots or a certain brand, most people would say, well, okay, but if they are a professional and they wear them, then obviously they're the best, right? It's kind of like that with him. Even though if you don't know who Gordon Ramsay is, if he says something is good, as food-wise, it's probably good, as in tastes good, right? It's not necessarily nutritious or anything like that. It's just that he's a chef and he's focused on making good, tasty food for people. So yeah, if he says vegan food is good, then that's a huge, huge deal, right? So the most recent kind of thing I've seen him say regarding vegan food was actually in this video here. This was back from 2022, and let's just get to the actual moment where he says this. This is pretty interesting, and I think this is quite a huge change considering what we just watched. And you can see this now.
MasterChef first. Not just because the challenge has never been seen before, but because I've been keeping a culinary secret I've never told any of you. It's a secret that's so big, I'm almost afraid to say it on national television.
Don't worry, Gordon. This is a safe space. We'll support you.
After all these years, I can finally admit that I actually love vegan food.
Wow.
That can't be true.
Are you serious? Mr. Beef Wellington likes vegetables by themselves? This just sounds like a bad nightmare.
It's taken me 20 years to get to this point. Cauliflower steak. Should be a ribeye steak, not a cauliflower steak.
You know I'm not a rabbit, and yet you serve me food that's fit for a rabbit hutch. In fact, I'm not even going to eat it.
Guys, honestly, if I can learn to cook phenomenal vegan food after all those years hating vegan, then you can learn too. Anyone with a good knowledge of flavors and techniques is capable of amazing vegan cooking. Yes. So, tonight, your challenge...
So that it might seem like a small thing. That is huge, in my opinion. That is absolutely huge. Given that the influence that he has, which... not over you guys in the live chat, as we've already established. A lot of you don't know who he is. But given the influence he has, I mean, this video itself only got 123,000 views on YouTube, but obviously it was aired on TV in the USA, so it had millions of people. And they were watching this, and he said what he said. Anyone with good knowledge of flavor, good knowledge of food can make incredibly tasting vegan food. Bearing in mind that most of the people... most of the chefs at Gordon Ramsay's level probably wouldn't say something like that. And most of the people that are kind of associated with his, let's say, more direct and kind of abrasive attitude, they're usually super anti-vegan, these people. No, it's all rabbit food. It's nonsense. It's BS. It tastes disgusting, etc., etc., etc. But here he is saying, no, I've 20 years now. It took me 20 years to realize this. You can make really, really tasty, delicious vegan food. And like I said, one of the most renowned chefs in the world saying that. So to me, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And I'm really happy he's turned that corner. We got one more thing to take a look at, though. And this is actually something that is very surprising. Not only is he saying those good things about vegan food now, which is great. His commendation, him recommending vegan food is massive by itself. But also, he's working with Flora, which is a brand I believe only in the UK. It might be global, but I'm not sure. I have only seen it in the UK. And these guys are pushing butter without the cow, and he's fully now behind it. Check this out.
Made from ingredients that haven't...
1 second, let's go back. Here we go.
Flora, made from ingredients that haven't been through a cow. But is it great for baking? Cow says yes, could seem biased. Let's ask an expert.
Is that a serious question? Just look at this cake.
Wow, thank you, Gordon. That is very clear. Flora, skip the cow.
So that's a CGI cow, by the way, guys. He's not actually sitting on a cow, just FYI. But that, again, to have someone of his caliber promoting an animal-free butter is huge. And they're not even saying, oh, it's it's just this butter and it has no milk and butter with no dairy. He's saying without the cow. It's saying without passing through a cow. That's huge. That's really great that they're focusing on the animals involved here, even though they've got this weird thing of him sitting on a cow, which is a bit weird. But it's really interesting that he's willing to get involved here and actually put his name to something where they're saying without the cow, skip the cow. There's a little bit more of this as well. A couple of other videos on this Flora website. They've done like a few little ads with him. I'll show you. So Flora, they've committed now to, I believe they don't actually use any dairy in their products at all. And so to get him on board, again, considering his history, look what we just watched, right? To be able to get him on board now with a completely dairy-free, they're making eggs here, but obviously, I guess we can't win them all. But to be scrapping dairy and have him backing that, so he talks about how to make it at home. He's talking about how to make some kind of like
How to whip cream perfectly. Flora Double is ideal. It's made with quality ingredients that haven't been through a cow. No, thank you. Please. Look at that. You are getting on my nerves now. Beautiful.
So all the branding is all about like skip the cow, right? And that's where we're at. I mean, we're up to date now. So for me, looking at what he's putting his name to now, looking at how far he's come, I mean, where we started this video and he's saying, I'm allergic to vegetarians, I'm allergic to vegans. If my kids went veggie, I'd electrocute them. He tricked a vegetarian into eating meat. He had the whole thing with the vegan teacher. He did that horrible thing with the lambs. And then now he comes out the other end telling everybody that he's taken him 20 years, but now he's into vegan food, likes making vegan food, making vegan recipes. And he's now working with Flora, which is a completely animal-free product. Pretty cool. We could be sinister and say it's all about the money, but I'm pretty sure there's more money in promoting animal products for him. So for me, it's interesting that he's turned towards the animal-free alternatives instead. So yeah, it suggests to me that he's made a turn. It suggests to me he's made some moves, suggests to me that he's definitely changed in his mind. And I hope he proves me right. I mean, I hope that he will continue this shift. And I think we can answer the question in the title of the stream that I think that he doesn't hate vegans anymore or vegetarians. I think that actually he realized he was misinformed this whole time and just had never explored these vegan, vegetarian recipes for food. He thought vegans just ate boring, bland stuff, and he didn't know how to do it, basically. But now it seems like he's filled in those knowledge gaps, and now he understands and agrees with all of us vegans when we tell people that you can get just as tasty food, just as nutritious food as you want living as a vegan. And especially if you're a chef like him, right? And you have knowledge of all these different flavors and textures and all that kind of stuff. So he's not having some big miraculous kind of change of heart where he now really, really cares about animals. I don't think he's quite there yet. But I mean, he's on the way there. And let me tell you something. I think for the vast majority of people out there, and if you're watching this stream and you yourself aren't a vegan, by the way, just getting hold of some tasty ass vegan food and some really nice tasty vegan recipes is enough for people to be, put it this way, if you start eating that more and more, it's going to be easier for you to understand and get on board with the reasons to be vegan, right? If you change your behavior first and find tasty food that you enjoy, like really nice food, it's going to be much easier for them to look into what the alternative to that is, right? So if you look into the meat industry, the egg industry, the dairy industry, you start seeing all those horrors. And then also the food you're eating that's not got any of that in is really, really tasty. It's an easier jump to make, for sure. It's an easier decision to make. It helps ease the transition into living and eating an animal-free way, right? So who knows? Gordon Ramsay might be on that road too. You never know. He's probably calming down a bit in his older age as well. Not so aggressive anymore. which helps, I think. I think a lot of people, you know, once you stop to really think and calm down and have a think about what's going on, have a think about the things you've said, sometimes it can make you reflect and realize, oh, maybe I was wrong there. And he kind of admitted that in that other video, saying that in the MasterChef video, saying that it took him 20 years to get to that point, that he was basically kind of acknowledging that he was wrong in what he was saying before. It's a big deal, I think. I think he's got the journey kind of he's gone through here is the one that a lot of people do go through. I think a lot of us probably went through it as well. I mean, yeah, here's a question for you in the chat. Vegans in the chat. First of all, drop me a broccoli, guys, if you're vegan in the chat. And then next, answer this question. Before you went vegan, did you say silly things about vegans? Yes or no? Or just put, I said silly things about vegans, or I said silly things about vegan food, or whatever, if you're a vegan. This would be an interesting little survey. Because I have the theory that most vegans said silly things about vegans and vegan food before going vegan. Yeah, Homeless Vegan says, I used to ridicule vegans. Vegan Giselle says, I didn't like soy milk, for example. Yeah, so, you know, I think, and I said loads of silly things about vegans. Yeah, so Verdant Jedi says, I didn't. I saw veganism in a positive light even before I was vegan. It's very mature of you. Tommy says, I thought being vegan was silly. Dilligan says, yes, I used to be an anti-vegan troll, then I grew up. Barry said, I said silly things about vegans. These are all vegans who used to say silly things about vegans. Yeah, I mean, I used to say bad things too. I used to say they were weird, vegans were weird, and the food is bad, and oh, I could never live without cheese. I could never live without eggs. That's the stuff I would always say. And you know, it's silly. You know, it's silly stuff. It's just things that you say as opposed to make yourself feel better, I suppose, about not being a vegan. Or to try to kind of, I don't know. When you hear somebody else is doing something that's really good, and you know damn well it's good, you know, anyone who's not a vegan, when you're honest with yourself before you were vegan, or if you're not vegan now, when you're honest and you sit yourself down and you say, look at yourself and say, hey, look, is veganism good for animals? Is it better for animals than what I'm doing? Of course it is. Of course it is. It's literally making massive changes in your life in as many areas of your life as possible, and being very, very focused and conscious on trying to make a better world for animals. Is what being a vegan even is, right? There's no way that anyone could argue that oh, that's worse for animals, right? So deep down, everyone who was not a vegan knows that being a vegan is good for animals. The reason that we, before we were vegan, couldn't accept that is because if we accept that, we have to accept that someone is doing something better for animals than we are. And if we consider ourselves to be also animal lovers, or we care about animals, that's difficult to admit. It's difficult to admit that you got someone in front of you who's actually making more of a difference than you are for animals, and you are actually making it worse for them proactively by buying all these products that come from animal abuse. It's really difficult to accept that. So what you do instead is you say things like, well, I mean, you know, it's really hard, isn't it? It's really expensive. Or I heard you get really sick actually for it if you go vegan. Where's your protein? These are the things that I've said these types of things before too. It's what you say when you just feel kind of that somebody is, you need to take them down a notch. You feel like, oh, that person's a vegan, they make me feel bad. I need to bring them down. I need to kind of make their thing seem less good than it is to make myself feel better. That's what I did before I was vegan. I bet lots of you guys did it too. Ethical Side Trans Project, thank you for the tip. He's doing an ad for Blue Band plant-based butter. Blue Band YouTube. Oh, great. Gordon Ramsay's doing an ad for plant-based butter somewhere else as well. That's awesome. Dominic Smith, thanks for the super chat, mate. Wanted to share the most bizarre cognitive dissonance experiences I've had at work this week. The subject of drunk people cow tipping came up. Oh, what's that about, Dominic? Pop it up in the chat. I'll read the rest of your story if you want. That sounds frustrating. Most conversations vegans have with people who aren't vegan are quite frustrating. But, you know, hey, it's no need for it to be. And I know there's currently 98 people watching right now. How many of you guys are vegan, right? Not everybody. I saw only about maybe 10, 20 people earlier on popping in saying they're vegan. So that leaves us with everybody else who aren't vegan. And that's fine. That's great. In fact, no, it's not fine. It's great. I'm so happy that so many of you are watching this aren't vegan. And what I wanted to say is just now about that kind of, vegans always find it difficult to talk to people who aren't vegan. It's because people aren't honest. And you guys have a choice whenever you're talking with a vegan is to be honest and just say how you feel, or you can choose to kind of go down that road of kind of lying to yourself and lying to the vegan, which a lot of people do, unfortunately. Defensive instead, saying, talking about, but don't plants have feelings, and what did cavemen eat? And that's important, right? And lions eat meat, and these types of things. And it can be quite frustrating as a vegan because you hear the same things over and over again. And then when someone's actually honest with you and they say, I don't know, they tell you some things about themselves and true, honest opinions, it's so refreshing. It's like a breath of fresh air. It's like you've been drowning and then all of a sudden you just got up out of the water. It's almost surprising even sometimes when someone's just nice and honest with you and you have a normal conversation without all these strange kind of other things, So yeah, I recommend that, guys. It's okay to debate. It's okay to have conversations, disagreements, but it can be quite frustrating when it's they're not real disagreements. They're just things, I don't know, you made up on the spot about plants having feelings and things like that. It can be quite frustrating, got to admit. But on the other side of that, just to be completely fair to you, I also acknowledge that a lot of vegans aren't particularly good at talking as well. And that's also me, by the way. In the past, I was quite bad at having these conversations. Obviously, a lot of vegans were quite passionate and we're angry about what happens to animals. And sometimes we take that anger out on you, right? On people who aren't vegan. And sometimes that you don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. Sometimes actually people just have never really put their minds to this and never really thought about it. And so it's not really fair to be mad at them. It's not reasonable. Like, for example, before I was a vegan, if someone was mad at me and started screaming at me before I'd even thought about this, I wouldn't have been happy with that either. So I try not to do that to other people as well. And some vegans obviously don't necessarily think like that, and they don't have control over that kind of thing, and then they let their emotions go wild. And so it goes both ways, right? But I think that if the vegans could learn to just to remember that we weren't always vegan, and to remember to stay calm and try and just have like a kind of, a reasonable conversation without any insults or anything like that. And then if the people who aren't vegan could learn to just be honest and not just pull out loads of strange excuses like, oh, but don't plants have feelings, and lions eat meat, and what about cavemen? And I think if we avoid all of that together, we could have some really incredible conversations, and we could learn a lot, and I think we could make a big difference in the world for animals. Most importantly, I think we could definitely get somewhere a lot faster if we could achieve that, right? What do you guys think? Do you agree? You think that would make a better world for us and animals? I think, actually, for sure. All right. Speaking of people who are dishonest, let's watch a video. I've not seen the whole video yet, but it seems to be a very, very bad faith, dishonest, anti-vegan video that I've not seen. I only saw the intro to it to make sure it was an anti-vegan video. It's this one here. Vegan Jesus, Earthling Ed, is worse than that vegan teacher. And it says, the cult leader. You see that? So now I thought this seemed interesting. And I think this is going to be an incredibly dishonest and frustrating video to watch. I only watched the intro of it, and I've not seen anything else, by the way, guys. I watched the intro just to make sure it wasn't some vegan doing a troll or anything like that. But no, it appears to be a genuine anti-vegan criticizing the vegans.
I've mentioned a few times before that most of the vegan people that I come across on social media are a bunch of annoying, preachy losers, and I'm sure most of you have experienced that as well. Well, as far as my channel goes, I've really only talked about a few, which includes, of course, that vegan teacher.
What do I think of somebody who pays for the torture and of innocent animals.
That's not what they said. They said, call me Chris.
I don't think that's a
not her
very
name.
nice person.
Or Tosh Peterson.
It's the animal holocaust. This is murder. Every single product in this store is murder and animal abuse.
Vegan Gains. I've mentioned Unnatural Vegan a few times, Zana Samsonova as well, but today we're going to be talking about the vegan Jesus. Now, he doesn't call himself the vegan Jesus, but if you've never heard of Earthling Ed, you're going to understand why I call him the vegan Jesus. Because in my opinion, the persona he portrays not only makes him look like a pretentious asshole, but also somebody that thinks that they're morally superior, ethically divine.
So let's see if this guy is going to criticize Earthling Ed's words, Earthling Ed's actual opinions, or if he's just going to criticize the way he looks and the way he speaks. I'm going to put my money on that all he does, or for most part, he focuses on the way that Earthling Ed looks and talks versus what he says. So not the content of what he's saying, but the packaging it comes in is what he's going to focus on. Because if he actually listens to what Ed says, which is what we're going to see, and actually he won't be able to argue with it. It's impossible. It's going to be impossible for him to argue with it and come out looking good. So I think it's going to be another 19 minutes of just criticizing the way Ed speaks to people and the packaging that the message comes in. That's what my bets are on. What do you guys think? Do you think that's where the money's going to be?
You know, truly stands above the crowd and may as well be the messiah of the vegan universe.
So far, yes.
Because not only does he make plenty of content around veganism and how it's just ethically better than any other sort of diet, but he also has written...
Yep, that's one of Ed's claims for sure. You didn't debunk it. Didn't actually contest the argument, just kind of said the argument in a disparaging tone.
Several books on just how to shit on those nasty mouth-breathing carnists. Like,
no, he's not read Ed's books because, as far as I know, they're not about how to shit on people. They're about how to effectively have discussions with people that show them your point of view, and actually, so there can be some kind of solution, some kind of productive conversation. That's what Ed's books are literally the entire goal of them. If he wrote books only about how to shit on people, they wouldn't be best-selling books. And they are best-selling books because people find them extremely valuable because of what I just said, because they actually encourage productive conversation, productive discussion that enables people to understand where you're coming from. That's the whole point of all of Ed's work, basically.
Like it's child's play. Now, he's also a self-proclaimed best-selling author. Yeah, best-selling author to the few thousand vegans that purchased your book.
Okay, best-selling author to the few thousand vegans that purchased his book. Let's go and fact-check that then, shall we? Earthling Ed. The first one he did, this is vegan propaganda. Sales. Let's have a look. Is there any way to find this stuff out? Is it like public? I guess not. That's annoying that we can't find that out. Maybe I can just do a quick ChatGPT, see if ChatGPT can find it. I'm going to actually shut the screen off for 1 minute because then you guys will see what I've been asking ChatGPT. That could be embarrassing. All right. How many sales how many book sales has Earthling Ed had? Not publicly disclosed. Oh, well. That's a shame. We're not going to be able to prove or disprove that. But then the funny thing is if I can't prove or disprove it, neither can this guy. And so all it is this guy saying that, oh, he's like, Ed only sold this amount of books to vegans. I'm saying I don't know how many he sold, but I'm not making a claim like this guy is. He's claiming that Ed's a liar.
I'm sure. But yeah, if he's a best-selling author, then I guess I am too. The Elevator Man, horror mystery story. Buy it on Amazon. It's in the description. Don't support this vegan loser. Support the Curl King. He's super cool and funny and awesome. And I have a book, and I'm a best-selling author, just like Earthling Ed, except better and way cooler. Now, I've stated many times that going around telling people about veganism and, you know, how it could be good for you in certain ways, you know, that's one thing. It becomes a whole nother issue when you try to pass it off as this just ethically superior lifestyle that everybody needs to be a part of. Otherwise, they're subhuman pieces of shit with no morals. And
that's interesting. Has anyone ever heard Earthling Ed say that? That anybody who doesn't agree with him is a subhuman piece of shit with no morals? Because I've never heard Ed say that to anybody ever. Usually he's incredibly cordial, respectful. If anything, I would say sometimes Ed is too respectful. He doesn't push people hard enough sometimes. I'd say he lets people off the hook sometimes. And I think that's part of the way he works, actually. He wants to give a good impression. He wants people to think about this conversation that he's having with them in a good light so that later on they go home and they say, that was a nice guy. And he made me think. He doesn't want people going home and thinking, oh my God, that guy pushed me so hard and now I feel really, really like I never want to talk to a vegan again. Ed literally, his whole focus is not creating that image, not creating that emotion in people. But here, this guy's basically just so incredibly triggered by Ed that this is what he sees in him. He sees Earthling Ed as this really angry, like probably me too. He'd be watching me right now and saying, oh, this guy is super angry and mean and so judgmental. And I don't think I've raised my voice once in the last 45 minutes that we've been on the stream, but he would see me as being really angry because it's all in his head. It's projection. A lot of people do this when they don't like what a vegan is saying. They position the vegan as if they are the one with the problem. Even if the vegan has been real calm and real polite, they'll say, oh, the vegan was rude and aggressive. Again, because it helps them make them feel better. I mean, I've done it before too. Again, I wasn't always vegan. And whenever I heard or saw vegan protests or activists or, you know, people I knew who were vegan, I would also feel like, oh, they're just don't be so aggressive. But in reality, they weren't being aggressive at all. They were just telling me things that I didn't want to hear.
that's exactly what all of these people on social media that I've come across do, Earthling Ed being no exception. In fact, I think this is where a lot of current social media vegan influencers get some of their information from his books and from his teachings. And nobody's really talked about this guy in the commentary space, so I may be one of the first to do it. So welcome aboard, people, on the crazy shit train. Let's get this mother rolling. Choo choo.
Hello, good morning. It is butcher day on the homestead, and we are getting ready to butcher about 55 Cornish cross hens.
So I don't know if you guys have come across homesteading videos on social media. Homesteading has become a really popular trend across platforms like TikTok and Instagram, and these homesteaders portray this way of life as being a really simple and connected and peaceful and compassionate way of living and producing food. However, there is another side to this narrative which I want to discuss in today's video. Now, it's easy to understand.
Well, that intro right there was, oh my God. Can you believe that he's that aggressive? I mean, I'm sorry, but like, how could you shout at people like that in the first little, 10 seconds of your video? You think this is going to win people over? This vegan is honestly a disgrace. I've never seen someone speak so disparagingly about other people in my life. He clearly thinks he's so much better, doesn't he? With that, just those few sentences. I mean, I'm truly just so worried about where this video is going to go after hearing such a rude intro.
And the appeal of producing your own food. However, beneath the romanticized portrayal of backyard eggs and home-raised meat is actually a dark web of incompetency, narcissism, and violence, which actually sustains the very cycles of harm that homesteaders claim they're trying to address. Now, of course, you could be a plant-based homesteader and decide not to exploit animals, but in today's video, we're going to be looking at those who would rather have more than just soil on their hands.
Yep. You got that right, big.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was brutal. I mean, everything he said, everything this guy said, this Curl King said, just came to fruition in this exact moment when Ed was just so aggressive. I'm really excited to see what Curl King says about this and how he's gonna, You know, show us all how Ed is truly just the worst.
Have more than just soil on their hands.
Yep, you got that right. Big sigh. Let it out. Let it out. I know that's what you want to do. Yes, the vegans are complaining about peaceful homesteaders now.
Peaceful homesteaders, huh? Oh my goodness. I mean, it doesn't take long for you to go and research homesteading. Well, actually, it would take you long. I take that back. When you research homesteading, a lot of homesteaders, they don't actually put up the killing of the animals on their farms. A lot of them shy away from it, actually. I've done research. I've tried looking for some of this stuff. Some of them do, don't get me wrong, some of them do. But the vast majority of them do not. The vast majority of them, they'll say, oh, it's killing day, and they'll kind of show you a before and an after, but they will not show you the in-between. So I suppose this Curl King is right. It does look like they're pretty peaceful because they skipped that part out. So to his credit, he has been bamboozled there, and they've skipped out all the violence. Hey, Dominic, thank you, mate. I'll read these couple super chats out before we continue. Some of them this is a follow-up from earlier on. This Dominic Smith, who was in the chat telling us about some people at work that were pissing him off. Some of his mates at work or some of his work colleagues got so angry, they were demanding people be put in prison for pushing a cow over, but they support animal agriculture. Yeah, it's a good point. And it's good that people get angry about drunk people pushing cows over. It's good that they want those people in prison. It is a doorway to them understanding why it's also great to not eat animals. So I would exploit that doorway. I would exploit that avenue and say, oh, it's amazing. Thank you for caring about cows. You know, the best way to care about cows is not to eat cows. I think that's a nice angle there. Thanks for sharing that, Dominic. And Chip, hey, mate, thanks for the tip. Curl King's whole thing is that he puts vegans down. Imagine making that your online persona without ever listening to the argument. Well, this is Chip. This is going to be another 17, 16 minutes of this. So I hope he does make some kind of point at some point. Because so far all he's done is complain, which is ironic because I think earlier on he was saying that all vegans do is complain. But let's see.
And he's been doing this for a while. This isn't his first rodeo. This isn't the first time he's complained about peaceful homesteaders. Now, obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory, but for those of you that might not be familiar with the term homesteading, it's essentially living off of your own resources. You know, you grow your own crops, you slaughter your own animals, you provide food for yourself, right? You know, a simple life that a lot of people used to do, like back in like the 1800s, very normal. And most people nowadays agree that this is the most ethical way to source your food, whether it's your vegetables or it's your meat. And the fact of the matter is, that's just the truth. It really is. And even...
Yeah, I don't know too much about that. But I will say that if everyone chose to homestead, then, it's impossible. Everyone can't homestead. That's not possible. Regarding... Well, no, I know it's not the most ethical way, but rather speaking environmentally, you'd have to go into the specifics on that, but it's likely the most, depending on how they do it, you can do it in a pretty environmentally friendly way. Obviously, the most ethical way to eat would be to have your own homestead without animals on the homestead. Like have your own plant-based homestead. That's probably the gold standard. But again, I don't know how feasible that would be for every single person in the world to do. So I don't know how far that would go. We're getting into the weeds here, but yeah, we can continue. We can continue with grant him that in general homesteading is probably the way to go if you want to reduce your impact on the world, ethically and environmentally. If you're doing it plant-based homesteading, yeah, that would be the way.
Most vegans are like, yeah, people that are getting their meat source ethically are winning. You know, like good for them. But then you have these...
Wait, did you just say most vegans would say that's good?
And even most vegans are like, yeah, people that are getting their meat source ethically are winning.
No, I don't think most vegans are happy with people killing animals full stop. That's not a thing that most vegans are into. You might be getting confused in that a lot of vegans would be happy that somebody isn't supporting factory farming and is eating significantly less meat. I think most vegans would say, oh, that's a positive change. And so if someone's doing homesteading and they went from eating factory farmed animals multiple, like every single day of the week, to only eating, I don't know, one animal in a month on a homestead, I mean, you're still doing the bad thing, but you're not doing as much of the bad thing. So yeah, it's something. But I don't think, I'm pretty sure that most vegans are not happy and are not going to agree with people killing animals. Kind of full stop there, really. With the obvious exceptions such as self-defense, or in some kind of crazy survival situation, which a lot of people like to bring up, the desert island, something like that. Maybe vegans would say fine, and there's going to be exceptions, obviously, for survival and situations where you literally have no choice. But yeah, no.
You know, like, good for them. But then you have these maniacal nut jobs like Earthling Ed, vegan teacher, and all of them that are even upset by this. This is somehow an immoral practice as well. It's unethical. And he'll get into why. I'll let him say his piece in this video, and then we'll give our criticism of it as it is well deserved.
Oh, so he's going to do a criticism. That's interesting. I'm very excited to see that.
Because homesteaders may talk about wanting to make sure that the animals have a nice life and a compassionate death. But humans homestead for themselves, not for the animals. They homestead because of how it makes them feel. Homesteading is also often portrayed as a rejection of the fakery, materialism of modern society. It's a return to our oh so humble and simple roots, producing food ourselves. And yet the complete irony in all of this is the privilege that often goes hand in hand with people who homestead. I mean, think about it.
First off, his complaints here are just a fat, juicy, vegan nothing burger. I'm gonna start with the whole, like, the privilege thing of being able to homestead. Yeah, you need to have money to be able to do this.
So he agrees with him.
It's not something that should be looked down upon because people are showing this on social media like, hey guys.
No, I don't think he said it's something that should be looked down upon. He's pointing out that to do this requires a lot of money and it's not feasible for everybody else. That's all he's pointing out there.
As I'm a homesteader, but the difference between them and you is that they don't have this weird moral superiority complex where they're like, well, you should be homesteading. Like, what are you doing if you're not homesteading, you piece of shit, garbage, subhuman, fucking Hitler wannabe cosplay Joseph Stalin bitch?
When did Ed say that he was that? When did Earthling actually, come to think of it, has Ed ever said anything remotely similar to that? Or have any vegans, I mean, there probably are some vegans out there who've said something kind of maybe one of those things, possibly one time. But yeah, I mean, look at the guy's face. I mean, I'm not criticizing the way he looks, but I'm going to point out here that you can tell where someone's mind is at. You can tell a lot from people's facial expressions. That is not the facial expression of somebody who is chill. That's the facial expression of somebody who is having a very, very triggered kind of meltdown over a video of a guy calmly speaking and giving his opinions on homesteaders. I mean, I guess it's, you know, triggering for some people. It's upsetting for some people that people have opinions and want to help animals with, you know, share opinions about trying to help animals, to the point where this person here, this Curl King, would see you as calling, he feels like vegans are calling him, I'm not even going to we'll go through his list again. So by sharing an opinion on homesteaders and saying they position themselves as the salt of the earth people who have, you know, got rid of all of the luxuries and now they're going to do this thing and it's kind of a much more closer to home type of feeling and etc. But actually costs a hell of a lot of money to even do it. That's a critique. That's kind of like a critique of the thing they're promoting. It's like they're promoting one thing, but actually the only reason they can do that thing is because of all the money they had. So it's not about getting rid of all your money, getting rid of all your luxuries to do homesteading. It's actually like, no, you're just going to take all your money and put it here and it costs a lot of money. So by saying that, you are
garbage, subhuman, fucking Hitler wannabe cosplay Joseph Stalin bitch.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Bit of an overreaction, I would say.
That's the difference. They're not doing that. They're just showing their life as homesteaders. That's it. and they're promoting something positive. They're promoting what truly is a more ethical treatment of animals. And I don't understand how you could see something wrong with giving these animals a good life, a longer life most of the time in comparison to factory farming, where they're
we've not even got to Ed's main critique yet. This guy is absolutely losing it, and Ed's not even gone to his main points. So I'm just kind of curious to how he's going to go over that.
They're free range, they're able to roam around and be able to enjoy themselves. And yes, at the end of the day, they are your food, and you're going to make sure that they end up on your plate. That's their purpose in this situation. These animals have been bred for generations to be food for humans. I had some...
Yeah, there's something I'll say right now which is going to be incredibly offensive, but it's the quickest way to get from A to B. And actually, do you know what? I'll give some preamble to it so we don't just, smash like a bull in a china shop. His main argument there was just that these animals have been bred for generations, specifically for food. Therefore, that's why it's okay to eat them. That's why. Because of them being bred like for this for a long time. So two things. A, they're bred like this. B, we've been doing it for a long time. Therefore, we can eat them. Okay, kill them and eat them. It's okay. So it's the duration of time that we've been breeding them like this and the fact that we breed them like this that makes it okay to eat them. That was his point. Well, I'm going to explain why that makes no sense. So if we take any animal, let's say dogs, for example, or cats, hamsters, I don't know. Let's pick a like non-usual kind of. We usually go for dogs and cats, don't we? Let's pick another type of animal. I don't know, parrots, right? So we've been breeding parrots to eat them for a very long time, or some part of the world has. I'm going to guess most people wouldn't agree with eating the parrot, regardless of how long they've been bred like that for, and regardless of them being bred for meat. A lot of people in the West would say, I'm not going to eat a bloody parrot. No. They'd probably be more passionate about it if it came to a dog or a cat. But then why not? If that's all that matters, then why not? Now, we're going to make something... This is the offensive thing I was going to say. And I have to be careful and tiptoe around this one a little bit because this is the point I wanted to make immediately. But yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. This gentleman is black. And people have made the same arguments about people like him also. That, oh, well, these humans, well, first of all, they said they're not human. Second of all, we are breeding them literally for purpose. And we've been doing this for a couple hundred years now. And so it's an incredibly ridiculous logic that when you apply it in any other place, starts to fall apart. It only seems to work when it comes to chickens, pigs, cows, and the animals that we mostly eat in our Western society. Over in the East, they would have different animals that they would use this argument for, but it only seems to work on this little pocket of animals. When you apply that same logic to humans, like was done in the past, we all say, no, it doesn't count for humans. All right, okay, cool. When this logic applies to an animal that you've decided is not in your food remit, like an animal outside of that, a pet animal, oh, no, it doesn't count for that. It only seems to count for that one little pocket of species of animals that you've decided that you want to eat, pretty much. And it's really, really bad logic, as I've just shown you by trying to apply it to humans. And we're showing you how people did apply it to humans that looked just like this guy. And so I always find it sad and a little bit sickening when there's somebody who would have had this argument used against them as a reason to hurt them in the past, now doesn't have that problem, but they use that argument as a reason to go and hurt others. It's a quite kind of very sick and twisted, and I always find it quite uncomfortable, you know?
People, I want to shout out, if I can find the comment, I'll show it, but I might not want to dig for it. But this lad in Russia here talks about how he tried to be vegan, or they, I'm not sure what they identify as, so sorry if I misgendered you. But they tried to be vegan in Russia in a village, and it was impossible. They could not get the resources that they needed. The fruits, the vegetables and stuff were stale, they were rotten, they were inedible, like non-nourishing. If this person stayed on a vegan diet, probably would be dead by now.
The existence of people who, for whatever reason, aren't able to eat a fully animal-free diet doesn't give people who have the complete capability of eating an animal-free diet the green light to go and kill and eat animals. That doesn't make sense. Other people, what they do in other countries doesn't and shouldn't have any kind of gauge on what you choose to do and what you're capable of in your country. So, for example, there are people living currently today who probably have had to kill another person to survive due to like border conflicts or resources being scarce, whatever it is, right? There are people out there who are probably even today having to kill other people to survive. That doesn't mean that you and I, sat over here in Europe or wherever you are, get the green light to go and murder people because other people did that to survive in other places. Or to put in an interesting example, if a plane crashes and you end up killing and eating one of the survivors because you needed to survive or whatever, that doesn't mean we all get to go and kill and eat people because they did that in that specific place. It's really odd to me to point at somebody in rural Russia as they can't go vegan, so that means I shouldn't either. It's a grasping at straws, isn't it? And to be honest, it's not like, yeah, I can see that clearly now, and all the vegans can understand and see this clearly now. But and everybody actually in here who's watching who isn't vegan can understand and see this clearly now. But before this, I mean, I might have said something like this, like some years ago, you know, like, I don't know, 20 years ago. Everyone kind of has those moments where they think they're onto something and don't fully think about it and then say something silly like that. So this guy is being silly, but it's not like everyone has these moments. It's just a shame that he's making videos about it and kind of speaking like some kind of authority. That's the problem. We all make mistakes. We all say silly things from time to time. But when you say silly things and try and act like they're actually really, really serious and it completely makes sense, and you don't get contested on YouTube, you know, the comment section maybe, but it's you know, it's your video and there's no one to actually argue back with you. That's the problem.
There are so many instances all across the world where it is just not feasible. And even not just the extreme of like not being able to get the resources that you need. The majority of people need those proteins and vitamin A and other nutrients that only really come from meat.
Oh my God. I mean, I was going to say, I hope this guy is very young, but I don't think he's that young to not understand that. I mean, what is he in his 20s? No, protein doesn't only kind of come from meat. It comes from every single vegetable has protein in it in varying quantities. You can get it in quite high quantities in certain things and lower quantities in other things. For example, nuts and seeds, pretty good for protein. Things like seitan and tofu, very good for protein. Soy is very good for protein. Lots of good ways to get protein. Vitamin A, we'll just quickly... Vitamin A source, plant-based. There you go. Plant-based vitamin A sources: carrots, peppers, sweet potatoes, cantaloupe, mango, spinach, apricots, broccoli, butternut squash, grapefruit juice, pumpkins, black-eyed pea, kale, leafy greens, liver. It's not plant-based, is it? Tomatoes and papaya. What is it? Why is it listing liver as a plant-based vitamin A source? Anyway, the rest of them are obviously plants. So, yeah. I thought this video was going to be a little more interesting. We get back to the ed stuff and not just rambling and making silly, inaccurate points. That would be really nice.
Because the plant substitutes aren't sufficient for their bodies, and therefore it's like they didn't get them in the first place. You call yourself Earthling Ed, but all you give a fuck about are the animals that people eat, but clearly you don't care about the billions of animals that die just for you to get your vegetables, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, so all of this ramble is going on about now is because Earthling Ed said that homesteaders tend to sell a lifestyle that is actually very expensive. That's all he said so far. Nothing else, by the way. Nothing, not one more word from this guy. And then we got like this kind of 4 or 5 minute rant off the back of it.
Or your fellow fucking humans who couldn't survive without animal products.
You have
Again, the people who are not able to be vegan for whatever reason, limitations on what they can and can't access, etc., in rural parts of the world, middle of nowhere, using them as a reason for you not to change when you have all the means to change, it's offensive to those people, really, because you're kind of just using them as an excuse to make your life easier and not to avoid doing something good for animals. I mean, that's very sad. And it's completely illogical. It doesn't make sense to do that. As we've already expressed, I already explained to you. Someone on the other side of the world, there's lots of things other people around the world do that we won't do because we don't agree with it. And we think what they're doing is, if you did what they do in our setting, it would be wrong. This is one example of it.
Have to be able to own a plot of land or be able to live off a plot of land, to have the time to produce your own food, to have the financial independence to be able to do so. Most people who are living in cities and who have jobs and who have bills to pay and who have careers to fulfill do not necessarily have the desire to homestead, let alone the capability of homesteading. But it also overlooks a very simple practicality issue, which is it's just not possible to feed a growing population of people in homestead environments because homesteads are an inefficient way of producing food.
Yo, wannabe vegan Jesus, you literally just outlined one of the biggest issues with global widespread veganism. It's impractical. In so many fucking ways, it's impossible to feed everybody on this planet on a vegan diet and have...
So let's see if he expresses why he believes that, or if he's just going to say it.
The human race survive. Hey dog, we didn't get to where we are.
So no. So all he did was make a claim that it's just not, we just can't do it. It just, everybody couldn't be vegan, just can't do it. Just couldn't be done. Why? You're gonna have to, explain why there, aren't you? What's the you could go through the reasons why that would be a problem for people to transition to a plant-based food system. I can tell you that it is definitely possible because we already support an animal-based food system, which is incredibly resource-intensive, incredibly inefficient, because we've got a ton of land that we're using to grow crops to feed animals. We have a ton of land that we're wiping out all the forests to put the animals on, or to build farms to put them in, right? Because they're big animals, they take a lot of space. All that space and all that land could be used, or a lot of that space and a lot of that land could be used to grow crops that we can eat ourselves. So I would argue that we could absolutely end up in an animal-free food system. And there'd be no reason to suggest we couldn't make that happen based on the resources that we currently have access to. Now, you're talking about the impracticalities of what, just as it is right now. Yeah, for sure, maybe. Maybe for some people it's impractical, but for literally hundreds of millions of people, it is absolutely practical for them to do it. It's inconvenient, but not impractical. That they have to change a couple of things, find some new recipes, try some foods, get hold of some foods they'd never really focused on before. But supermarkets exist, and most of the foods in supermarkets are plant-based: nuts, seeds, grains, vegetables, fruits. So yeah, but it's hard to. I'm just arguing against no one here because he's not even listed his reasons for what he said. So it's kind of difficult. There's a lot of stuff I could go into, but
are by just eating corn and carrots. Okay.
Did he just say?
Hey dog, we didn't get to where we are by just eating corn and carrots, okay?
Well, yeah, vegans don't recommend people to only eat corn and carrots. If you eat only corn and carrots, you're not going to be very healthy. You're probably going to be very unhealthy because you're missing out a ton of nutrients, and you're not going to get even the macro or the micronutrients. You're going to miss out on everything. you're going to die very soon. You're not even going to get enough calories. You won't be able to get out of bed in the morning if you only eat corn and carrots. It all depends on how many corn and carrots you eat. The long story short is don't only eat corn and carrots.
We didn't get these big, intelligent brains by eating grass.
Vegans also don't recommend you eat grass. You can't digest grass, so it's not a recommendation for you to eat grass at all. Regarding he's going into here about our brains, the development of the human brain, the science isn't settled on that. But even if we just, let's grant him that. Let's say, yeah, we got here to where we are today because we ate animals back when we were, brains were getting whatever, evolving or whatnot. Okay, there was lots of things we did then as well. Lots of very violent things that we would have done back then to each other too. Well, you could argue they were also part of the reason we have a big, well, not big, but the reason we have a advanced brain. But I guess you don't want people to go around and do those violent things. What about sleeping in caves? So should we all get rid of our homes and get rid of society and just go back to bashing each other over the head and living to a max of 35, average lifespan of 35, forcing ourselves on each other and just going savage, just going back to being savages? Because hey, that's what got our brains advanced, is being savages, right? If you want to kind of link it together. I vote no. I personally say I'm happy with understanding of the past, and if that's what got us here, then so be it. But I'm happy to keep on moving forward now and not just keep on repeating what our ancestors did. I think we can do better things, and we can learn more, and we can be more peaceful, less violent. That's what I think we should do.
Humans had to adapt, evolve. We had to do so much to survive the elements, to survive nature, to survive time.
Yeah.
And for the majority of the last several 100,000 years, we've been eating meat, and for good reason.
Yeah, for that same logic again, with the kind of, if we've done it for a long time, then it must be good. We also enslaved each other for a very long time. Actually, I believe humans were the first currency that we traded. I think we traded people before we traded animals, if I'm right. Maybe it was animals, then humans. I'm not sure. Either way, one of the first currencies we ever traded in was human lives. Did it for thousands and thousands of years, right? And so that was clearly part of our evolution. That's what made us the people who we are today. So shouldn't we bring that back here in the West? I mean, it's still happening over in North Africa, for example, and a couple other countries, but a couple other parts of the world. Do we need to bring it back here? Because then we're going to evolve again, right? If we do that, you know, looking at these, it's interesting. People tend to focus on like one specific part of human history, and that's the thing that helped us, right? So eating meat is the thing that did it, not all the other things that were associated around that time. And for the thousands of years, the things that we did, not just the meat is what did it, just the meat, right? Okay.
I already brought up the Russia example, but there are so many countries you wouldn't even think about, like Japan, that are so heavily dependent on animal products, which includes like fish, includes cattle, you know, chickens, whatever it is, that they would just simply not be able to get by without them. Now Japanese people can't be vegan. Is that what you're trying to say? That's called the soft bigotry of low expectations. It's called. It's where you look at a population and you look at and you say, oh, they could never do this. They couldn't do it because they just couldn't. They don't have what it takes. They don't understand it. They just wouldn't be able to do it. They're too whatever. They're too dumb, or they don't understand. They wouldn't be able to change their system round because they're just too stuck in their ways or whatever. It's all just assuming negative things about people without actually ever looking into it. I'm sure if you asked and actually, you know, if Japanese people, just as if any people were motivated to do something like go vegan, and you asked them, or even hypothetically speaking, let's say if you asked somebody, do you think Japan could make it work? Do you think Japan could get rid of all animal products if there was a motivation there? Logically speaking, technically speaking, resources wise, the Japanese would be like, well, yeah, of course we could do anything like that. We're the Japanese. We make all your technology. We are the best. We have a clean, functioning society. They'd say, of course we can. What do you want about? What's wrong with you? But no, this guy's using them as a prop to prove his anti-vegan talking point. You're over here talking about privilege and stuff, which is really ironic because you have the financial privilege to be vegan as well as the desire to be vegan.
It doesn't take financial privilege to be vegan in the vast majority of the world, because in the vast majority of the world, the cheapest products in the supermarkets are actually animal-free products like fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, seeds, etc. Obviously, there are more expensive and cheaper items in these categories. But yeah, you can get the local stuff that's grown locally, or the stuff that you have, like your country has like good trade deals with. Like for example, UK has pretty good trade deals with other countries for bananas, so they're super cheap, for example. And each country that I've been to tends to have one or two things that are like dirt cheap, and then other things that are medium price, and then some things that are expensive, like specialty things. I don't know, dragon fruit in a lot of countries is expensive, for example. And then you get your vegan specialty items, which do tend to be expensive, but again, in the UK, they're pretty cheap there now. In America, things are coming down as well. And so, no, not necessarily a privilege. Actually, a lot of people, when they switch to eating an animal-free diet, and they do it properly, as in they look for the things that are the cheapest and to get their calories and get the nutrition, make recipes that are really delicious, tasty, nutritious, but using the stuff that is most available in their country and the most budget friendly. They say they save money. Actually, they spend less money, because animal products in general are expensive unless you're eating the bottom of the barrel, dirt cheap stuff that's going to make you very sick anyway. So you don't want to do that, obviously. So no, he's wrong on that one again.
A lot of people don't have that. It is so ironic that you're using this privilege thing as a way to combat the idea of homesteading, when again, these people that are homesteading aren't saying everybody should be doing this. No, they're just showing their lives as homesteaders, and that's it.
One thing I'll on that point I'll say is, I agree with the Curl King on one thing here. One thing I will say this, that I know he's not really made this point necessarily, but I'll throw him a bone here, a vegan one, obviously, that it is weird to make a video criticizing homesteading when we have the vast majority of the world giving money to factory farms, and factory farms are supplying the vast majority of the world's animal products. It is a little odd to go after homesteaders at that point. And, the only time I've ever personally gone after a homesteader is when they put up a video where they have said something about vegans, and they're trying to come after vegans. Like, if you come after me, I'm going to respond, right? Fine. But it definitely is a little bit of a strange move to just straight up just start going after homesteading when they are not really, probably not even in the top 10 issues that we as animal advocates need to focus on. Of course, from the animals' perspective, the animals that are on those farms with the homesteaders, yeah, they absolutely they would say it is the top priority, of course. But from we need to be selective with our time, and we need to focus on the things that are going to make the biggest change the fastest. And so factory farming and our main industrial farming system is probably where we should all be looking at as a first and foremost kind of priority. Homesteading is, as I said, at the bottom of the list. There's so many more things that I would focus on personally before I came to like criticizing or trying to take down the idea of homesteading. So I'll give him that. That it, maybe is an odd thing to focus on. Fine. You can have that, the Curl King. I'll agree with you there.
But you like to think that everybody thinks the way you do when they live a certain lifestyle, that they're trying to promote this to everybody because that's what you vegans do. But no, they're not like you. They aren't doing that, and I don't understand why that's such a difficult concept for you to grasp. And even if they were, and they were doing it in a practical way, like, hey, if you can afford it, consider growing your own fruits and vegetables.
I'm pretty sure they do that. I mean, I don't know if he's missed a trick here, but these homesteaders do often promote homesteading. It's not like they're just saying, oh, hey, we do homesteading, they are usually giving advice and like how to homestead. Maybe you should give it a go. Stuff.
Consider having your own chickens for eggs. A lot of people actually do that. They have their own chickens just for producing eggs for them. But of course, you guys see this as an enslavement as well. Even though the chickens probably couldn't care less about you taking their unfertilized eggs. Hell, half the time they eat them themselves. Get your privileged, pretentious ass on somewhere and come back to reality and realize just how privileged you actually.
Okay, whatever. The thing he's missing there with the chickens is that there's a couple problems that with having your own chickens in your garden and taking their eggs. One is you have to buy those chickens from a chicken breeder, and so someone is out there and they've been selectively breeding chickens, and they selectively breed chickens to lay as many eggs as possible. So automatically you're buying a chicken that has going to have a very tough life because of the way their body's been manipulated to lay as many eggs as humanly possible. Chickens in the wild are only supposed to lay around 12 to 14 eggs a year. Chickens that have been bred this way that we're talking about now can lay up past 300 in a year. Now, you don't need to be a biologist or an animal scientist to understand that that is bad for a chicken's body. It's going to hurt their bodies. It's the equivalent. I mean, a chicken, it's the equivalent of something like a human giving birth 300 times a year because of, they're literally basically giving birth to an egg 300 times a year. And it takes also a lot of their nutrition, puts their body under a lot of stress. And so when you do this to them, they suffer. Their bones get brittle. They can't hold themselves up anymore, things like that. And they have a very short life because of that, actually. And a lot of it would be painful as well. Now, what a lot of people do when they rescue chickens, so they will rescue chickens from a chicken farm, and then they have the same problem now. They've got chickens in the garden. They're going to live a good life. They're not going to get eaten, and they're not going to, So what are they going to do with the eggs? Well, a lot of rescuers will put fake eggs with the chickens, and apparently that can help quell the instinct to lay an egg and slow down the process. So that's one thing they do. The other thing they do, which is actually what this Curl King just said a minute ago, they feed the eggs back to the chickens because it helps to replenish the nutrition they lost by laying the egg. So yeah, that's what they tend to do when they've rescued chickens. Now, and the thing he's talking about here, he's not talking about people who've rescued chickens. He's talking about people who bought chickens so that they could just get as many eggs from them as possible. And that's the problem. Everything I've just said is the problem. You're just you're continuing on this system of, violating these chickens' bodies, breeding them in a certain way that makes them really unhealthy and sick, and then taking advantage of it. It's exploitation, and we want to stop doing that. So that's the reason that vegans would say, hey, please don't buy chickens and put them in your garden and take their eggs, because it's still if you're going to talk about what's worse, is it worse to go factory farmed eggs from chickens versus buying chickens and put them in your garden? Yeah, obviously buying chickens and putting them in your garden is going to be the better of two evils, right? But then you don't need to do either. That's the point of what we're saying when we say, to be a vegan or to eat an animal-free diet, is that you don't need to do either. Both of these things are bad. One is worse than the other for sure. But then instead of doing that, just do away with the eggs instead, maybe. And look at all these incredible plant-based animal-free meals that we can have that don't require us to do anything like that to a chicken. And then we can start to take money away from those industries, take money away from those people who do this to chickens. And eventually the hope is they would stop doing it to chickens.
Are. Do you have any idea how expensive vitamins are? My wife and I recently started taking vitamins just so that, because we're not vegan or vegetarian, but we don't eat a lot of meat either. Like, I enjoy fish, but where I live, I don't really have access to fish, unless I want frozen fish or fish that I don't like salmon. I mean, I don't mind it. It's just not something I'd really prefer. I'd rather eat something else. So I don't even really eat fish ever. And then the only meat I pretty much eat somewhat regularly is chicken, and that's not even every single day. And so because of that, it's wise for both of us to take supplements, which I know it sounds really ironic. You guys are like, oh my God, the Curl King's one of them. No, I'm fucking not. I just know what I need to do to be healthy, and so does she, and we do it. She isn't super happy about even eating chicken. She would probably be vegetarian or vegan if it made sense for her health, just because of how she feels morally towards the animals. She understands that it's a necessity for her to be healthy and to live a long, healthy life, and therefore she does it.
sounds like your wife has been misinformed, because it's not a necessity for you to be eating animal products to live a long and healthy life. This guy's just literally admitted that to fill in some of the gaps in his nutrition is taking supplements. The only gaps in nutrition you would need if you're eating a balanced, healthy, animal-free diet would be B12. And if you don't go outside a lot or you work inside and you're like me in an office, vitamin D3. That's it. That's it. And if you want to be lazy, right? If you're actually just like, I just want to eat food. I don't want to have to think about the nutrition side of it too much. Just want to make sure my weight's good and I'm not going to get heart disease or anything like that. And so you can then just take a multivitamin instead, or just keep track of the things that you're missing and then take those things, right? If you're lazy, which sounds like that's what he's already doing. There's no reason this guy couldn't live exactly the way he's living right now, but with an animal-free diet. He'll be just as healthy as he is now, or healthier.
Out of obligation, not for her taste pleasure, not because she's some kind of immoral fucking lunatic, just because she wants to be healthy and live a long, healthy life. So she overrides that emotional feeling that she gets when it comes to meat, and she'll have chicken, and that's about it. And me, I'm somewhat similar. You know, I'm not a big fan of eating red meat. This is why I don't. It's because I personally don't like the ideas of eating cows. I don't mind that other people do it at all, especially if they're being mindful about their health.
This is interesting how we got to this point now. So he's got some kind of emotional connection with cows, which is great, by the way. I'm happy to... What's this guy's real name? Does anybody know? I don't want to keep calling him Curl King. It's pretty dumb. Anybody know his real name? Anyway, he's got some kind of emotional connection with cows, which is good. And now I feel like I'm starting to understand this guy's psychology a little bit. It seems to be that there's some little voice inside him that agrees with being the vegans and what vegans say about being good to animals and avoiding eating animals. But for some reason or another, instead of kind of coming on board with that and using his obvious care that he has for cows and kind of expanding that, he's chosen to reject it. He's chosen to instead of be adversarial and fight with it. And they do say that this is quite a common thing that people do right before or during the process of changing themselves, right? Maybe he's been soured by seeing some videos by a vegan teacher that he didn't like and some videos by vegans that he found to be really offensive. And maybe that soured his view here and just pushed him maybe to the other side. Whereas maybe if he'd have seen a video from a vegan that he liked first, maybe he wouldn't have gone down this road, you know? I don't know. Because at this point now, I mean, this is a totally different individual from what we saw earlier, right? He seems to actually be a little, I don't know, being a little more honest now rather than just being really reactive.
Or if it's just a good food source for them, perfectly fine to me. Now, I draw the line in some places. Like, I personally feel like people shouldn't eat octopus, but that's just because of how intelligent they are, and a lot of people don't know it. And I felt like even if they did know, they probably wouldn't care still. But even then, if I go to a seafood restaurant, I see somebody eating octopus, I'm not gonna be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that, you immoral piece of shit that's worse than Hitler and Joseph Stalin and Jeffrey Dahmer combined. Fuck you, asshole, immoral.
Yeah, there's a lot of projection here. But the point about the octopus, that's really interesting. So he's got a soft spot for the octopus. And I guess that's from the My Octopus Teacher series where it showed how intelligent they are. But the thing is, I mean, it's not very nice, or not just not nice. It's not smart. It's not good to base whether we kill and eat an animal or whether we even just whatever we do, any violence. It's not good to base any violent behavior on whether we think somebody's intelligent or not, whether that be to an octopus, a dog, or a person. So we think an octopus is intelligent, so don't be violent to them. But we don't think a cow is intelligent, so be violent to them. I don't. That's not great logic. I mean, that's backwards. That's kind of how somebody would behave if they were just a truly terrible person, right? if we apply that into onto lots of other examples, we can see how horrible that would be. That would mean that we would say it's okay to do horrible things to people with low IQ. That's not true. What about pigs, by the way? Pigs are really high intelligence. So by his logic that we shouldn't be doing that to pigs, but I know this guy probably eats pigs. And define intelligence as well. I mean, octopus, I don't know, the octopus, there we go. The octopus has intelligence in a way that we define it, in that, they have some kind of awareness. They're more, I suppose, more conscious, let's say, than other animals. Same as dolphins, right? But why are we defining intelligence by that metric? What about if we defined intelligence by hearing, right? Or sense of smell? Well, that would put cows pretty high up the list. What about if we were defining intelligence by the ability to communicate with an unborn child? Well, that way, if we said, that's a good indicator of intelligence, the ability to communicate with an unborn child, well, that's chickens then. Chickens talk to the chicks when the chick is still in the shell, not been born yet. They can communicate with each other. So it all depends on how you're looking at intelligence, right? And what are the traits and things that you find to be the ones that are worth defending? I don't see why we, with our knowledge of animals, I don't see why we don't look at them and say, well, the things that are worth defending, what are the things that are important? Well, I think the things that are important are their ability to feel pain, their ability to suffer, the fact that they're like an individual, that they have a personality, that they have, all of those things together. Whether they're intelligent or not is not important to me. A cow has the same intelligence as probably like a 1 or 2 year old human, but I wouldn't go and exploit or hurt a 1 or 2 year old human because they're dumb, and I wouldn't do that to a cow for the same reason. Do I think cows are particularly smart? No. I love them. I absolutely love them. But I don't think they're that smart, But that's fine, though. It's okay. They don't need to be. The same child doesn't need to be for me to not want to hurt them. Actually, I've flipped it on its head that the more unintelligent an animal is, the more they need the defense because they don't have a bloody clue what's going on a lot of the time. A cow doesn't know that what you've got in your hand is a gun until you've shot them. And then the other cows then have some understanding of what's going on because they watch their cow friend get shot. But up until that point, they don't know what's going on. That is a reason to defend them against people who want to go and shoot them with a gun. That's actually the reason to step in and say, whoa, hold up. They don't know what's going on. I'm going to stop you from doing that horrible thing to them. So I would flip it on its head. I would say the less intelligent, the more defense needed. Not that more intelligent animals also don't need defending. The octopus needs defending too. They're doing octopus farms in some countries. They also need protection. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just trying to kind of point out here why this idea of an animal being intelligent means that they're more worthy of being defended. Why I don't agree with it. I hope that was clear to you. Thank you, Mark, for the super chat. Superb commentary. Thank you, David. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Moral bitch. Like, I don't do that. I just ignore it and move on with my life because it's none of my fucking business. But you goddamn vegans think you're just so morally superior that even when there's people peacefully homesteading, providing food for themselves, you have to somehow find an issue with it. It's truly incredible and remarkable.
99% of the chickens that are raised for meat here in the United States are factory farm chickens. So when you ask me how we can do it, when you go to the grocery store, that's what you are supporting.
One of the most obvious and clear problems related with animal-based homesteading is the flawed logic that these people use to ethically justify what they're doing to animals. Just because it's possible to do something in a less harmful way does not therefore ethically justify what it is that you're doing. I mean, there are a variety of ways that one could traffic humans, but just because you could traffic humans in a less harmful way does not make that form of human trafficking morally justified. You're still doing the fundamentally immoral thing.
Let me use his logic against him for a second here.
Oh, I'm interested in this. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me get into character real quick. Ah, yes. Just because you could do something in a more ethical way doesn't make the whole thing ethical. But in my case, since I only eat grass, that it shouldn't matter. Billions of animals die to fertilize the crops that I consume on a daily basis. But I'd be dead wrong, you see. Just because it's incidental death through pesticides, culling of wild boars that eat the crops, it is still murder at the end of the day. Therefore, the plants that I consume still contribute to the deaths of billions of animals, though not directly, but it is still morally wrong and evil. Therefore, I should just drink water and survive off sunlight as the plants do. Yeah, that's your logic, Earth.
Okay. So, first off, he didn't use his logic against him. He took the argument he made and tried to create his argument, tried to create a new argument with it and failed. So Ed's point was that if you're doing something like breeding and killing chickens, and you're not doing it in a factory farm setting, and you're doing it in the backyard setting, that doesn't make breeding and killing chickens okay. It just means you're doing it in a better way than the factory farm was doing it. You can do the other option and just not breed and kill chickens. That's Ed's point. And it checks out. I mean, it's, as I said earlier, I don't necessarily think it's a priority to focus on homesteaders, and I don't see the reasons to do a whole video about it personally. I would rather just keep on focusing on the main culprits of animal exploitation, which are it's the mainstream food industry. It's not homesteaders, right? But the logic is correct, right? What this guy tried to do was use that logic and talk about the issues with crop farming, and to say that basically his point was, if you're a vegan and you're eating crops, because crop farmers defend those crops and use pesticides and also will kill animals that come onto the farms, you shouldn't eat vegetables and you should just photosynthesize. A couple of obvious problems there. One, we can't photosynthesize, so that's out. So then what does that leave us with? Well, we either continue with not eating animals, going animal free, and bite the bullet on the fact that crop farming comes with its problems, right? Okay, so that's one way we could be. That's where we're all at now as vegans. I'm a vegan, that's where I'm at. I have to acknowledge that, yes, the crop farming has its issues. Okay, done. Or alternatively, I could go down the road of this guy and I could say, okay then, I'm going to eat animals and crops. And also, I have to factor in that the animals themselves are eating a lot of crops too. So those issues that we just had with the crop farming in a vegan diet are amplified when you eat animals, because the animals are also eating crops, significantly more crops. And also, remember, they're flattening land. They're cutting down tons and tons of trees to A, plant crops, and B, put animals on that land. So instead of just being responsible for the problems with crop farming in the vegan, living as a vegan, you're responsible for the problems with crop farming and killing animals when you're not a vegan. So basically, you're just adding up more issues if you were going to switch to do the way this guy, not this guy in particular, but if you were going to stop being vegan. So you have to do, we can't not eat. We don't have a third option here. You're either not a vegan. In this case, you're either not a vegan, you are a vegan. There is no photosynthesis option, right? So if we're going to choose between the two, all the animals killed here, I don't know, really high number there. You're not a vegan because all the animals are being killed and all the crops they eat and all the problems with crop farming. Or you take away all the animals being bred and killed and you just deal with the issues of crop farming, you're going to be in a significantly better place for animals by being a vegan. Because also on top of that, crop farming can be improved so that there is significantly less impact on animals. Animal farming cannot be improved so that there is significantly less impact on animals, because animal farming requires animals to be bred and killed in the millions, billions for it. You can't produce animal products without breeding and killing billions of animals. You can produce crops without doing that. And we already are doing that, but there are issues with, as he's pointed out, pesticides and crop protection and those things. that can be fixed, that can be worked on with technology, with new advancements. Why isn't it being worked on? Why isn't it changing right now? That's a question. The reason I would say as to why there's not a big push to improve crop farming for animals' sake is because why would crop farmers invest any money in making their crop farming better for animals when people literally pay money for other people to go breed and kill animals? The vast majority of people don't care. And so to expect crop farming to improve before people move away from animal farming, I would say you're a bit crazy if you think that that's the right way to do that. If you think that's the way it'll go. I don't think that's the way it'll go at all. I think when the vast majority of people start to criticize and move away from animal farming, then we'll see the crop farming side of things show interest and get funding to make that better. But until that, I don't think that's going to happen. And so we're stuck with that decision that we have to make. And for the reasons I've explained there, the obvious decision, if you're someone who's conscious and cares about animals, is to eat an animal-free diet.
Earthling idiot. Because
what
even
was
though
that
you
called?
guys
An earthling idiot.
Wrong and evil. Therefore, I should just drink water and survive off sunlight as the plants do. Yeah, that's your logic, earthling idiot.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's not his logic. And I mean, he never said that you should not eat anything and be a sun gazer or whatever, did he? This is, I said earlier on before watching this that it was going to be an incredibly dishonest video, and it didn't disappoint, did it? Really dishonest.
Because even though you guys like to pretend that there aren't billions of animals dying for your crops that you eat, they still are. But your logic is, I've seen this before, that it's incidental death, so it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. No.
I didn't say that. People do say that. I've heard people say that before, that it's incidental death. I have heard people say that it's not a big deal as well. So I would break that down into 2 points. One, it is incidental death as in a lot of cases, as in it's deaths that are, it's like driving a car causes incidental death. Yes, there's a lot of that in crop farming, but there is also killing in crop farming, pesticide use and the killing of animals to protect the crops, right? These things do happen. Some vegans will say this doesn't matter because it's technically like self-defense or something like that, right? I don't agree with that. I think these things do really matter, and I would love to see them change. And at some point, hopefully in my lifetime, when animal agriculture, I mean, I imagine, it's a hope. Maybe in, 30 years, people have actually done away with animal agriculture, and maybe we've moved towards a plant-based system. Well, that then would be my focus. I would be saying, great, now that all of this horrific farming situation is gone, this industrial animal farming, all the animal farming is gone or massively reduced, our next big issue is going to be focusing on how do we make crop farming significantly less negative for animals. How do we reduce or eliminate all of this death of animals in crop farming? I'm looking forward to the day where I can do that, because I don't sign off on that. I don't think these deaths in crop farming are okay. But I don't have a choice. The only choice that you're left with, it's one of the two, like as we've already been through. It's either don't eat or eat crops. And so I eat crops. Your options are don't eat only plant-based foods, or eat plant-based or eat animal foods. And then they go up in kind of stages of how much big of a problem they are for animals. Eating plant-based is not a completely green light, like, all animals are saved as soon as you eat plant-based, but it's significantly better than eating animals and animal products. And so that's where I'm at. But yeah, I really hope that we'll see a future where we get to focus on the crop farming side of things, because we'll have already kind of put the animal farming to bed. That'd be an amazing future, would it not? What do you guys think? Give me some broccolis in the chat if you're with me on that one. If that's a future you'd also look forward to, where we have the freedom, I suppose, to no longer need to focus on animal farming, and then to look into improving the crop farming systems.
No, yes it is. Because what you just said, just because it's more ethical, it doesn't change the underlying principle that it's still killing animals, right? Which is the big problem. And they use this little example of trafficking humans. Again, we are not about to compare trafficking humans to cows being killed for food, to bees being exterminated for you to grow crops like almonds and fucking avocados.
Oh, wait. So there's a lot to break down here. Sorry. So the last thing you said, bees are exterminated to grow almonds and avocados. No, that's not true. Bees are not. How would that make any sense? They need the bees to pollinate the crops. They wouldn't exterminate them. They need them to pollinate the crops. The reason the bees are dying is there's a mite breakout problem. Like little mites are killing the bees. That's the problem with the bees. That's why bees are dying, not being exterminated. That would make any bloody sense. And what was the other thing you said? Let me just quickly go back.
Trafficking humans to cows being killed.
Oh yeah, don't compare trafficking humans to cows being killed. And there's a big misconception people have when they talk about. People get offended with comparisons. You can compare anything to anything. If you try to equate things, then that's where you're going to probably run into some. Like if you're trying to say like, oh, human trafficking is exactly the same in all ways as farming, then you're just wrong. It's not the same. Obviously, it's not. They're not equal. They're not the same. They have different things going on. They have different complications. They mean different things to different people. No. But you can compare the similarities to them. So, for example, that's what Ed did. He said if you trafficked people in a slightly better way, it doesn't make trafficking them okay. If you breed and kill chickens in a slightly better way, it doesn't mean breeding. Oh my God! It doesn't mean breeding and killing chickens is okay. That's the point he's making. He's not saying they're the same bloody thing. He's just pointing out an example that people would obviously see as wrong, and showing you that the logic doesn't make sense there, and it also doesn't make sense here. That's all it is. That's the point of his comparison. But people often will flip it around and say, well, he's saying those things are the same. He's not. The point of most comparisons that anybody makes is just to try and give you something that you might have a stronger opinion on, and so that you can understand the opinion that I have or that the vegan has on that topic. That's all it is, guys. So if you ever hear a vegan making a comparison you find offensive, just remember, it's just a tool to get you to try and get you to understand what they're saying. It's not suggesting the things are the same, and it's not trying to upset you. Like earlier on when I made the comparison, and I said, when this guy said, well, if we've been breeding animals for thousands of years as food, that means that it must be good. And I said, well, some people were breeding humans for hundreds of years that look like this guy, and they're saying, well, because they've been bred for that and because that's their purpose in life, then they should be slaves. That's not me saying they're the same thing. I'm not saying they're the same thing. They're very, very different, and they have just, so many ways they're different. But in the logic sense, and this guy's logic, using this guy's logic, there was a similar logic being used there. There was a comparison of logic to be made there. People who had slaves were saying things like that. Like, this is their purpose. This is the order of things. This is where they belong. This is why they're here. Well, people say that about animals too, right? There is a comparison to be made about the things that people say, but it's not to say they're the same. It's not saying they're equal and exactly the same. It's not the same as, that's not what a comparison is, or that's not what highlighting similarities is. It's just highlighting similarities. That's all it is.
For food, to bees being exterminated.
Okay.
If you want your logic to be consistent, then all of these things need to be equal, but you can't cut out, just because you want to, that part about billions of animals dying because of incidental deaths. Okay, well, what about the wild boar that are being shot so that your corn can get to your dinner plate? Now, unless you are growing your own crops on land that has never been inhabited by any animals, you don't evict any creatures, nothing, you don't use any pesticides, and you kill nothing, then you are not being ethical either.
No, though that doesn't make sense. So the claim is that unless your lifestyle is completely 100% free of any harm to animals, then you are just as unethical as somebody who actively goes out there and pays for people to breed and violate and kill animals. That doesn't add up. That doesn't make sense. It's the same as saying that somebody who kills another human for survival is just as unethical as a serial killer who just goes out and kills because why not? Like, they're not the same, are they? Clearly, one of these things has a justification. One of these things has reason. One of these things can be understood and explained. And you'd say, hey, you know what? No, you'd never say that person's the same as the serial killer, right? And that's the case here. Like, yeah, is veganism perfect? No, of course it's not perfect. It has its problems. We have limitations. The world is not set up for people to live without causing some harm to animals. Everything you bloody do negatively impacts animals in one way or another. It is unavoidable. But you wouldn't say that somebody who literally is trying and doing everything they can and, you know, okay, but still, there's just being alive, sitting here and breathing, you cause some harm to animals. You wouldn't say they're exactly the same as that person who's out there hunting animals down for fun. No. So why would you then say they're the same as somebody who is eating them for fun? Well, we wouldn't, would we? Right? That's what he's trying to do here. And no, it's a faulty logic. But at the end of the day, if there is a vegan out there who's saying, I am perfect, I don't harm any animals, I am amazing, and you're all murderers, then his argument would make sense. He would be saying, no, you're not amazing, and your lifestyle still does harm animals, and stop trying to claim that you're perfect. Which I would say, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't like it when vegans do that either. There is the problem within our vegan world where a lot of people do get this idea that they have now kind of achieved some kind of sainthood or something like that, and now everything, that they're perfect and no death on my plate, no cruelty in my life. And that's not a good way to go about it, because it's just not true. We're doing our best and we're always learning and we're trying to figure out ways to make things better, but just existing in modern society comes with a lot of cruelty and a lot of death to animals. And yeah, that sucks. And it was the world we're born into. We just have to navigate it the best way we can. And so I would please advise for vegans not to go and kind of make those claims, because it's not smart. I don't think it's not true. And we need to be kind of more objective and more honest about what we're trying to do here. And ultimately, the way I see it, what I'm trying to do is make the world a better place for animals. That's my goal. Make the world a better place for animals. Me being a vegan is a part of that. My activism and my work online is another part of that. Right? This is my goal. Okay. And so that's what it comes down to. This guy is probably, it's one of two things that's going on with this guy. Either one, he's genuinely, someone's told him that, you know, being vegan is the perfect thing and we don't harm any animals and everything's amazing and beautiful. And then he's realized that's not true and he's snapping back because of that. Or he's heard some vegans and he's kind of felt like that's what they're saying, and then he's having a bit of a kind of a triggered reaction. It's one or the other. But a lot of people do, when they listen to a vegan speak, they do feel like they're being judged, and then it usually results in something like this guy's reaction.
Unless there are absolutely zero animals dying for your food consumption, then you are not being ethical either by your bitch ass logic. Well, Cow King, no, but nothing. Shut the fuck up. Listen, you.
Damn. How many views did this get? 11,000. He is very emotional in this. Got to admit, very, very emotional. Like something has really upset him.
You can have your opinion and eat it too, but shut the fuck up.
So just
wow, how many times to tell you to shut the F up? I get the impression that he wants you to shut up. I don't know, guys. What do you think?
Because pigs and chickens might have more space in a homestead environment does not therefore ethically justify exploiting and killing these animals. These people are not begrudgingly raising and killing animals. They're not just distraught that they are having to slaughter animals, but doing so because it's the most compassionate and ethical thing to do. They're not stuck in this moral bind where they're going, oh, I really hate homesteading, but it's the right thing to do ethically. No. That's not what's happening here. These people are not taking a principled stand against factory farming by slaughtering animals directly themselves. And this is what's really, really deceptive and manipulative about homesteading. It frames this way of life, or these people frame this way of living as being some sort of altruistic and benevolent thing. They frame themselves as these caregivers to animals who are operating in these incredibly principled ways and doing so because of the goodness of their own heart.
All right, guys, this video is getting kind of long, and I'm sure you can only handle so much of Earthling superiority complex wannabe Jesus at a time. So I will be giving you a break shortly, and there will be a part 2, but let me finalize my thoughts a little bit. This is the same thing I say to vegan teachers. Like, have you ever looked in a mirror and said these words? Because I feel like you need to have these words said right back at you for you to realize something important, that this is exactly what you do on a daily basis, you morally superior piece of shit dumbass.
Man, so much anger. Guy needs to calm the hell down. Get to the point as well.
The fact of the matter is, somebody choosing to not partake in factory farming and ethically sourcing their own meats themselves is a good thing. They are.
It is. I don't believe there are good ways to do bad things, and I think breeding and killing animals is a bad thing. When you don't have to breed and kill animals, when you could literally just eat something else, it is a bad thing. And so with that being said, though, somebody who is doing some kind of homestead versus supporting factory farming, obviously the homestead is going to be the lesser of two evils there if you're comparing homesteading to factory farming. But it doesn't change the fact that there is the third option, that to avoid any of the killing any animals, right? Specifically, I mean, breeding and killing animals for food. You can avoid all of it.
They are absolutely correct. It's not like they're trying to portray some false narrative like you guys do every single day. This is reality. This is the truth.
No, they are trying to do a false narrative, though. That Ed showed that. There was a homesteader who was showing himself saying, oh, you know, factory farms are bad, and that's why I breed and kill my own chickens. They are trying to make a moral point. This guy has missed that. That specific homesteader was trying to say that he is a more ethical person. He's making more ethical decisions. So they are making that claim.
Because the fact of the matter is, we are omnivores. It is necessary for us to have animal products.
That's not correct. And we are omnivores. We can eat both plants and animal foods, meat, dairy, and eggs. But it's not necessary for us to. Omnivore doesn't mean necessary. It means that you can thrive on either. In most cases, for most omnivorous animals, we are one of them. We can thrive with only eating animal-free food. Like we've established, like most of the biggest nutrition bodies have established, that now even tons of research is around now that if you eat properly with an animal-free diet, as in you don't miss nutrients. A lot of people, for example, don't plan it very well, or they don't pay attention to certain things. They eat badly or whatever. They make themselves sick. Don't do that. Eat properly. Learn how to eat properly with an animal-free diet. Like you assume it, like whoever taught you. The thing is, parents teach you how to eat when you're a kid, and they don't necessarily know what they're talking about. And so lots of people who aren't vegan get sick from diet-related diseases, right? Well, the same thing can happen when you go vegan too. You start eating animal-free diet, you might end up being sick for the same reason that people get sick and get bloody heart disease and whatnot on an animal-based diet, because you don't know what you're doing. So you gotta actually, first of all, go and read about this, go and learn how to eat properly. Whether you're vegan or not, go and learn and get the proper nutrition. But yes, if you're going to be a vegan, learn it, is what I'm trying to tell you, so you don't end up hurting yourself. And there's no reason you can't be as healthy as you are now or healthier, as I've already said. Same with this guy. It's not a necessity. If it is a necessity, then how do you explain? I mean, I don't have to go into this. I mean, there's loads of anecdotal stuff we could talk about. There are thousands of people millions of people that are eating animal-free diets that are perfectly healthy, including at top levels of athleticism and performance. So, I mean, yeah, there you go.
For us to have a couple bites of chicken a couple times a week. Because I've already pointed this out before, vitamin A. Vitamin A that you get from plants is a different nutrient that has to be converted into vitamin A. And not everybody's body can take that converted nutrient and use it efficiently. So
yeah, if somebody's got that issue, they could easily take a supplement. And so there's no need to go and kill and eat an animal for that. He already takes supplements. He's admitted that himself, so I'm not sure why he would make this point.
Most people that are on a plant-based diet aren't actually getting vitamin A in their system at all. Then there's
Okay, most people on a plant-based diet aren't getting vitamin A in their system at all. That was the claim. All right, let's see if we can quickly find something that proves him wrong there. Oh my God. Vitamin A plant-based diet study. I don't know. Oh, here we go. This is from 2024, January. Plant-based diet sources vitamin A like to lower risk of liver disease. Interesting. Well, let's see if we can find out anything in here. So they compared the diets of 6,000 people, found that those who ate the most vitamin A from the form of carotenoids from plant foods were least likely to have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Vitamin A from animal sources did not appear to contribute to reduced risk. Well, that's just good news, but that doesn't tell us if most plant-based people don't get any vitamin A whatsoever in their diets. All right, here we go. Oh, brilliant. There's actually a study here. All right. This is it's a systematic review as well, which is good. It means it's comes with some authority. All right, 1 minute. Let's just try and find the vitamin A thing. A. For each study, okay, great, they extracted all this vitamin A. 22 studies reported on vitamin A intake, which 17 considered intake from foods only. Across all studies, average vitamin A intake was similar across all dietary patterns. In 2 studies that assessed intake, vegetarians tended to have higher vitamin A intake. Okay, but they're talking about the intake. What about the... Sorry if this is some boring, nerdy stuff for you guys, but I just want to just quickly disprove this nonsense. Oh, here we go. This is the statuses then. 5 studies assessed beta-carotene status, of which 3 excluded supplement users. Across all studies, average status tended to be lower in vegetarians compared to meat eaters and vegans. Also, vegans actually had more beta-carotene in the system than vegetarians, which is interesting. But were mainly influenced by one study among Finnish meat eaters and vegans that reported relatively high beta-carotene levels, both dietary patterns. Oh yeah, in contrast, 2 studies found the beta-carotene status between vegetarians and meat eaters found significantly higher levels in vegetarians. In addition, 2 studies, both excluding supplement, addressed vitamin A status based on plasma serum levels, showing similar retinol levels across all dietary patterns. Meat eaters, vegetarians, and vegans scored that much per liter. Well, I don't know what that is. What's that U-mol? I always forget what these bloody things stand for. Okay, so the takeaway from that quick little search that we did is that vitamin A was similar between meat eaters, vegetarians, and vegans. So this person's claim that he just made that vegans get absolutely no vitamin A whatsoever was very quickly and easily proven to be wrong. It's a real shame that people go online and say things like that and they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
B12, which comes really only from animals. I know there's a whole it's from a bacteria that the animals consume or blah, blah, blah. Yes, that is very true. But even the synthetic or synthesized B12 requires animal products to create. So those that are eating it through supplements are still consuming animal products. So if you want...
That's not true. Vitamin B12 doesn't require animals to synthesize. I'll pull it up now. 1 minute. All right, here you go. It's just a quick little Google, and there you go. Vitamin B12 component and B12 supplements and fortified foods is made by bacteria and sourced from bacteria cultures. It's not taken from animal products. Some companies might put gelatin in, but that appears to be uncommon. Literally, it takes seconds to find that out. Unless the guy considers bacteria to be an animal.
Want to be truly vegan, you can't take your B12 supplements. Sorry. And
that's not true. We just found out that's not true.
If you don't do that, you end up like a crazy lunatic, like all of these people. So I don't recommend that. And not
take B12 supplements, vegan ones.
Just that, but some people don't even digest animal proteins as well. Their bodies can't use them to the efficiency that they could use animal proteins. And then they end up malnourished. No matter what you guys want to believe, no matter how much you try to fight tooth and nail that people don't need animal products.
Again, he's highlighting some, I don't know, some really, really specific maybe issues that some people have out there in the world. Maybe some people have specific allergies, specific health limitations and whatnot, that would make it that they would need to eat animal products for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, there's billions of us. We're going to come across people like that. That doesn't change the literal vast majority of people in the world and what they can do, which is eat an animal-free diet and help us make a better world for animals. The existence of some people who can't do it doesn't mean that everybody else also shouldn't do it. It's I'm sure there's a word or some kind of thing that describes what he's doing, but some kind of nerdy word for it. But yeah.
You're wrong, and that's why all of you guys are such fucking lunatics.
This gets starting to become ironic of this chap sitting there effing and blinding about how we're all crazy, we're all lunatics, when he has literally done nothing here but doing unhinged, extremely aggressive, emotional rant. He has no control over his emotions whatsoever. He makes no sense. He's saying things that are completely untrue, easily debunked, like I've done multiple times. If either of us here in this chat, or including Earthling Ed, between the three of us, who is the one that's acting like a lunatic? Who is the one that's lost their mind? Who is the one that, to be totally honest with you, seems like they could have a B12 deficiency that's driving them to make really, really silly, highly emotional remarks and comments? It's this guy. It's this guy. Now, I'm not one to go and, make accusations of being deficient and whatnot, but I'm just kind of flipping that back on him because he said it first. And, I think anyone knowing this can see the real one who's being unreasonable and a bit mental here is this guy.
Some people are fortunate enough to be able to get by on a vegan diet for a while. A lot of nutritionists say that, yeah, people at certain age groups that aren't experiencing certain things in their life, like they're not pregnant, not breastfeeding, they're not...
It's fine to be on a plant-based diet if you're pregnant and breastfeeding.
Athletes, they're not a bunch of different things. Yeah, you probably...
Also as an athlete as well. I'm not going to go and Google this over and over again. You guys can go and do it. All the research is out there. There are certain considerations you've got to take into account with breastfeeding and pregnancy. You've got to make sure that you're taking more. So, like, for example, with pregnancy, your iron is really important. So you've got to make sure you're really focusing on that. With breastfeeding, I believe there's a type of fatty acid you need to be a bit more careful with. Make sure you're getting enough of that. But apart from that, no, and athletes, there are tons of vegan athletes. I mean, the Game Changers proved that there are athletes at the highest levels that are eating plant-based, and some are vegan, some are just eating an animal-free diet. So, yeah.
Get by on a vegan diet for a certain amount of years before it actually starts to really affect them in a negative way.
Yeah, you can, if someone's eating badly, if someone's not eating enough calories and not enough nutrition, then they can last for quite a long time, and then they suddenly get sick, and then they blame it all on veganism. We've seen that multiple times, yeah, but if you're eating why would you get sick by eating a nutritionally adequate diet for a long time? The answer is you wouldn't. So just eat a nutritionally adequate animal-free diet and you can do it forever. But don't eat badly. Otherwise, you won't last very long, and then you'll have to go on some, I don't know, medication or something, supplements, things like that, hardcore supplements, like injected supplements and things like that. If you get yourself into some major problems, so just be conscious of your diet, guys, and don't end up with massive nutrient deficiencies, and don't end up with heart disease and diabetes and all these horrible things that come with poor diet choices. That's the message there. I mean, whether you're vegan or not. But obviously the risks are very different with eating an animal-free diet. Your risks are, if you don't do it right, your risks are deficiencies and some issues like that. If you do it really, really wrong, then that's where you'll end up. But it's very, very easy to remedy. Whereas the risks of eating an animal-based diet, I mean, it's pretty well established that if you're eating a lot of animal products, and especially processed ones, you're at higher risk of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, significantly more so than if you were eating an animal-free diet. So just simple solution, eat an animal-free diet with proper nutrition, cover your bases, and you'll likely be very healthy and avoid all those big, horrible, killer diseases.
That's just the fact. You guys can deny and deflect and ignore these fundamental truths all day long.
Fundamental lies.
But there's a reason that only less than 1% of the world is vegan. Have you thought about that?
So that's an appeal to majority. There's a fallacy. At one point, there was probably only 1% of the world that disagreed with slavery. Didn't mean that everybody was right. So yeah, you don't want to do that. Don't just look at the majority and say, oh, well, oof, if everyone believes it must be true. And if these small group of people are the only ones that think the opposite, they must be wrong. Not smart.
You're in the wrong. You can take all that moral superiority bullshit and shove it right up your vegan asshole. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy, feel free to like.
Yeah. What a sad video that was, full of just complete lies and really, really emotional. Surprised at how emotional that was. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize it was 20 minutes. It took a while to get through her as well. My goodness. Thank you so much, Fractor, for the tip. Can't stick around, but have a good stream. Well, thank you, even though you're not here anymore. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in, dropping a little donation and saying hi. Appreciate it. Huh. If David had some raw liver and a nice rare steak with some cheese, the world would be a lot more peaceful. I'm not sure I agree with you there, Yundering Fitness. I don't think me eating a dead animal's liver and muscle would make the world more peaceful. You'll have to explain why you think that. Block this idiot. Yeah, funny. Yeah, I mean, you got all my views on this guy. I mean, I just think it's really sad. I just think the guy is really sad. Obviously, he's got himself. It's probably that these the only videos that pop off for him. Yeah, if you look. Let's have a look back to his like original. Yeah, so he's a drama channel. He just does drama videos. So his whole shtick is just being angry, I suppose. And I guess his vegan ones. Yeah, he's got big ones about the vegan teacher. I bet his most popular videos are about veganism. There you go. 500,000 almost on the vegan teacher. That's why he's doing this. There you go. Look at it. Oh my God. That is disturbing. Look at that. Oh my goodness. It is literally, his only successful videos are all about vegan teacher and Tash Peterson and other vegans. That's why he's doing this. You know, the thing is there's only so long you can keep doing this before people are going to start turning on you. Like his own audience will start turning on him eventually, because if you're just making these kinds of videos, it's a grift, right? All it is a grift. Lies, fake emotions, right? Fake aggression. And I know this because, you know, back when I was first getting into YouTube, really getting into it, I also did a couple of videos where I was like, I'm going to be more, turn it up, you know, be more angry than I really am. And I'm going to go in and call people names. And there's only so long you can keep that up before you start to look at yourself and be like, what am I, a clown? Am I just the dancing clown for people on the internet? And eventually, you know, I did that for maybe, I don't know, 6 months or something like that. I was trying to kind of like explore that avenue of just being like, you know, maybe I can just vent all my real feelings and kind of get extra angry for a clip or whatever. But it eventually, yeah, you start to realize like it's not authentic. It's not real. It's not helpful. It's just you're just a dancing clown for the internet. That's all you are, and that's all this guy is. Realistically, he's just a clown. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as in like that's the position he's put himself in. He's a dancing clown for people online. Just sat there shouting out like, I mean, at least when I was doing it, I was still telling the truth. It wasn't like I wasn't lying. I was telling the truth. I was just amping it up, you know. He's amping it up and lying. Constant lies all the way through it, with the occasional thing that we agreed on, but mostly just lies. Not good, huh? Not good. Hey, Catman, thank you so much for the tip. Appreciate it. And it says keep it up with a nice little emoji. Love it. Love it, guys. That Chip guy Chip says, I asked him to debate me. He said he's scared. Well, yeah, he would be, because I said it earlier, right? It's when you're making YouTube videos, it's easy to sit there and say things. It's a lot harder to defend them. And that's why a lot of people don't like debating, because they prefer to just have this uncontested content out there that, because when you're like, I'm here right now, I'm on screen, I'm on video. To a lot of people, me looking at you on the screen on YouTube gives me some authority. You look how many followers I have, you look at how many people are watching the video or whatever. You make some kind of image in your head of like, okay, this guy's an authority, or like the microphone sounds really nice, right? Okay, yeah, he must know what he's doing, right? And people do that for other YouTubers too. And so when they lie with a nice microphone or like just being on a screen gives you some authority, I think, for a lot of people. And they know that. And they know that what will happen is when someone else comes on that screen who is going to now argue with them, it takes away their authority. They don't have that same impact anymore. And so that's why he won't debate you, because he knows that that's how it works. You can do your video, you can post your video and disappear. You don't need to deal with the backlash. But if you're debating, you have an immediate backlash when you're debating. It's instantaneous. You say something that is dumb, the other person's going to go, no, that's wrong. And if you're not prepped for that, and you're too used to having your own way on your own channel, then you're going to really struggle. You're going to really struggle. That's why he won't do it. He probably. I mean, I heard he debated vegan gains at one point. Someone said, but I don't think that probably didn't go well for him. He probably never want to do that ever again. Now he just keep on doing his videos and never answer anyone again, probably. All right, let's take a look at something interesting here. There's a video here. I guess you guys know about this. Over in the UK, some protesters went out and they blocked a supermarket. Did you guys hear about this? They blocked a supermarket aisle, and they did it to try and raise awareness of the RSPCA over in the UK, which is the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. They're trying to raise awareness of them being basically just liars, because they give their stamp of approval to animal products, and animal products that come from gas chambers, like pigs, gassing pigs to death, pork products, and also other farms and other slaughterhouses that are just absolutely disgraceful and abuse animals. And they've got all this footage of animal abuse and animal cruelty in these farms. And so they're trying to raise awareness of it over in the UK. They did a protest in a supermarket that ended up with somebody ramming their trolley into them. There's a short video here from these guys. I was going to show you the video, just kind of talk through it, but actually I found this. I don't know who these guys are. They're called the Coulson twins. Never seen them before. No idea what they're going to say. Not seen this video. This video did pretty well, though. It got 83,000 views. Just says, when protesters block people buying meat, then guess what happens? So let's see what they're going to say.
It's getting crazy in these... you. It's getting crazy in these supermarkets, let me tell you. These vegans are turning up, blocking aisles, so people can't even walk down with their trolleys anymore. Staff are doing nothing about it. And this is in the same city as where we live. This is in the same... This is down the road from us.
You're kidding.
That's the craziest thing. Well, we need to move out of this bloody city then. People deal with this when they're going doing their weekly shop.
I asked her to excuse you and she said no, so now let go of the trolley, please.
Who are these people? Mate, a bunch of Fruit Loops, that's what they are.
You don't control my passage anywhere. Okay?
Yeah, this is embarrassing. This is down the road from us, guys. Mate, look at that. Staff are doing nothing. Look, that's someone's son right there, man. Yep. Oh, son, what did you do today? Oh, I went to Sainsbury's and I blocked people from buying meat. You don't see people who love steak sat down vegan aisles, do you? Blocking people.
There's so much to this. Before I give you my full take on all this, I'll just quickly respond to what he said. You don't see people that don't eat. You don't see people blocking the aisle trying to force you to eat steak. Why would they do that? There's no... The reason that a vegan would try and convince people not to eat steak or block people from eating steak is because they want to avoid people or stop people from paying money to the people who kill cows and turn them into steak because they care about cows. Why would a person block the vegan aisle? What's it for? There's no reason for it. It's not helping anyone, saving anyone. There's no moral thing going on there. So it doesn't really make sense. That logic doesn't really make sense. They know it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like if you said, say if you see some people protesting and they're blocking an entrance to a forest because some people want to cut the forest down, and the people who own the forest say, I don't know. You wouldn't go. They say you wouldn't see us coming and blocking your plantation area to stop you from planting trees. So why are you stopping us from cutting the trees down? And it's like, well, because we don't want you to cut the trees down. We like the trees and we plant trees because we like trees. Like, we're consistent. Why would you stop me from planting trees? Well, because you want to make money by building stuff on the land. No, we care about the land. We want to build good things. We want to grow trees so we can breathe and our climate's better. You just want to cut them all down and destroy it. You know what I mean? That's what's going on here. It's saying we want to stop or encourage you to not eat animals because we care about animals. Why would you encourage people to eat animals? Like that doesn't make sense. You're going to protest for people to eat them. What, so you can make money? So you kind of speak. It's a really weird thing that people do. They try to kind of, we wouldn't do it to you, so why are you doing it to us? And it's like, we're not doing anything to you. We're trying to defend animals. What are you trying to defend if you were going to come and go after a vegan? You're going to try and defend killing animals? Why would you do that?
If you want to be a vegan, good for you. But why are you trying to stop people from buying the food they want?
Well, I'll just explain that, and we'll get to that in a minute anyway, as I'm not completely on board with how this action went down, to be honest with you, but we'll come to that.
That makes no sense. So there's the staff in the background. I'll get it for you. What? Nah, man. What? They need to get these people out, man. He said, the guy who works there said, I'll get it for you. Not get the f out the way. So this guy he should be backing the customers. Yeah. And these people, right? They're not buying any food. They're there to protest. So technically, it's trespassing. Where's the security at?
The security won't be able to move 5 or 6 people, and sometimes they don't call the police because they don't see the point, because the police take so long to get there that by the time the police get there, these guys will have left. That's probably why they're still there.
Sam, it's England, mate. I'll get it for you. Are you mental?
She doesn't have the right to say no.
Oh, security.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I want to get past here.
You can go around, madam.
No, I'm not going round. You move.
Yep.
No.
Well, I'll just knock you out of the way with my trolley then.
You'll do what you must do, madam, but we're here to make a protest and make a...
Nah. Protest outside of it. Oh my God, did you hear that? That's assault. That's assault. These people are cotton wool in a physical being. Crazy thing.
Cotton wool in a physical being. All right, I'm going to keep listening and see. I'll keep listening. I'll let it play through. And if there's anything that's just wrong, I'll comment. But then I'll comment afterwards on everything else.
Is that their parents raised these people, sacrificed a lot of time.
I think there's more things to worry about in the world than,
just cut me off.
Just some packeted meat.
Right. So just a quick little thing there. There's more things to worry about in the world. This is something. It means nothing. It means nothing to say that. Oh, there's more things to worry about in the world. You could say that to literally anything that anyone says at any time. There's better things to do. There's more things to worry about. Who cares about this? It's just a way to try and dismiss the thing. It doesn't make any sense. It's not like a good thing to say. So, I mean, just a quick way to try and move past it. That's all that means. Like, I don't know if they're going to say anything more useful than that. Let's see.
It's bad how animals are treated, but that's
good.
Life, mate.
Not good. Again, that's life is another one of those things. There's a word that's to describe these things. Oh, that's life. There are more things to worry about. It's just things that people say to try and dismiss a real concern. You already said that it's bad the way animals are treated, but then he followed it up with, oh, well, nothing we can do about it. There is something people can do about it. Literally, you just watched a video of one of the things that people are trying to do something about it. So of course there is ways to actually change something, right? Or try to make a difference.
But
get over it.
That's like
get over it.
Saying people who don't drink alcohol are going to bars and trying to stop people getting in because they don't agree with people drinking.
If alcohol was killing it was violating, abusing, and killing animals, then people probably would do that. Yeah.
People are not there, right? These people are only there because they have an empty life, mate. They're losers.
They're only there because they're losers with an empty life. Not necessarily, no. They're there actually because, actually, I would flip it on these two guys and I would say, sitting down making commentary videos about people who are out there trying to get things done, between you and them, who's doing something more meaningful in their life? Let's just be, pretty brutally honest here. I'm sure these guys are nice guys and all, but I mean, what is it called? Like, don't, those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, right? Protesters, even if you disagree with the protest itself, they're still trying to get out there and change the world. Even if you don't think it would change the world, they're trying to get out there and do something about it. If you're going to call anyone losers, it would probably be the guys sat on the line saying, oh, well, it is what it is. I mean, that's the way of the world. I mean, no, I think that's more lame, Sorry, guys, but got to be honest.
It's all of them. I don't care. If you're a vegan, there are vegans who don't like these people. If you're a loser and you've got nothing else to do, what else are you going to do? Protest against meat? Aren't they embarrassed and ashamed to do that?
If you're a loser and you've got nothing else to do, what are you going to do? Protest against meat? How does that make any sense? So wait, so being a loser means having so much passion for something that you will go out there and speak up about it? That's being a loser? I wonder if they would say the same thing about all these activists of the past, like all these incredible activists, not just in the animal world. I'm talking about the women's rights world and the different race rights worlds, civil rights in America and the rest of the world, and all these incredible. What about these activists in Iran who have literally been killed for trying to speak up for women's rights because they're massively oppressed in Iran? People who refuse to wear their hijab, for example. All losers. They're just losers, right? Because they protest. Oh my God, get a life. Is that what it is, guys? Or is it only if people protest for animals? If people protest for animals, losers. If they protest for anything else, they're great people and we should be proud of them and give them respect. I wonder why that would be. Is it possibly because you feel bad when activists protest for animals because you eat animals? Maybe that's what it is, possibly.
Elderly people I'm going to ask you the same question again. Go on then. If you're a loser and you've got nothing else to do, what else are you going to do? Yeah, but they're stupid as well. These people are stupid. When I saw the video and then I saw the guy come in, the staff, I thought he would say, look, guys, keep it moving. But nah, I'll go and get it for you. He's catering to... Yeah. I'll go and get it for you. What is going on, man? And then when I read the description and I saw it was near us. What do you mean, Sam? We need to move to America, mate. That's where we need to go. Yeah. Move to America. That's what we need to do. Looks like America is slowly going back to normality, whereas here, it's still a mess. Yeah. Maybe we should do that. Guys, if you live in America right now, write in the comments where me and Sam should move to. Yeah. UK is flipping crazy right now. Yeah. I saw a video the other day of the guy who runs Poland, whatever you call it.
All right, whatever. Let's have a see again this. So these two... whatever they said, what they said. Let's just move on from them. But with this protest, I am got to be honest with you that I don't think it was a very good protest. Not for the reasons they say. They're just upset because they don't like that people speak up for animals. Full stop. They're just upset about that. But I think a more reasonable criticism of this would be that they didn't need to block the aisle to make the point. They could have stood along the aisle to make the point. By blocking the aisle, you become a problem for the people in the supermarket. You become actually a source of hatred for them. And the purpose of it depends on the purpose of what they were doing. Were they going out there to do activism to make a point against the company or the people? If your point was to go out and make some problem for the company, don't target the people in the store, target the company. Being in there, making noise and having signs, playing videos is a problem for the company by itself. If people ask you to get out of the way, get out the way. You're not there to argue with the public. You're not, if that's your thing, right? That's not the point of it. If you're there to try and convince the public, again, don't block their way or get in the way of them. That's just going to annoy them and make them turn against you. If you're there to inform them and educate them, you've got to do it in a way that's informative and educational, not in a way where you're angering them. So it all depends on the goal, really. But a lot of this kind of activism where the goal is to be a nuisance, basically, to the company, unfortunately, a lot of it does tend to cross over with really, really annoying people. But in my opinion, that's best avoided. A great example of where you can cause problems for a company without causing problems for people is what the same group, Animal Rising, what they did, I believe last year or the year before, where they blocked the McDonald's distribution sites, and so that the trucks couldn't get in or out. That people, when there's no public around, there was no problem for them. I mean, they couldn't get some McDonald's burgers or whatever at some places, but it wasn't like the activists were physically in front of people, blocking them or causing them problems or anything, like arguing with them. They were focusing on the company, on the business. That was a great action, in my opinion. That was a really good way of doing it. But if they had instead gone and blocked McDonald's front doors all over in the city centre, then you're becoming an enemy of the people immediately. And you're going to lose a lot of their support while you're trying to make a point against the company. And I don't know. I think you've got to have a balance there. Otherwise, we got to get people on our side, even if it's not the complete reason for doing a protest. Even if your protest is you're trying to protest Sainsbury's or McDonald's or KFC, you still don't want to turn everybody against you while you're doing that. You can do both. You can have people, be not bothered by you while you do a protest against the company that causes them problems at the same time. I think that's a good idea. So yeah, again, to reiterate here, I think these activists getting out there is incredible. I'm so happy they got out there and did this and raised awareness of the disgraceful RSPCA, and that they provide, that they're supplying Sainsbury's. I think they're in Sainsbury's there. Well, they're supplying all the supermarkets in the UK with products that come from animal abuse and cruelty while claiming they don't. It's great to get out there and cause problems for these supermarkets until they do something about it. And it's great to educate people too. But I think this specific protest, I would say, if I was to guess, I'd say it probably did more harm than good. I think it got viral for the wrong reasons. I think it didn't even I don't think it put the problems with the RSPCA in the public that much, really. You can barely even see what the signs say. I think it went viral for very negative reasons. It makes it more difficult for advocates, unfortunately. And it could have been, it could have been a little different, and I wish it was a little different, yeah. I don't know what you guys think. Linda Does Stuff says, shit would never go viral for the right reasons, I think. I disagree, Linda, actually. I disagree with you. I think that we just haven't tapped into that yet. The problem with viral content that goes viral for the wrong reasons is it's likely going to create quite a negative impact. Actually, if you're interested in reading more about this, I did a whole article about this, which I never really talk about this so much on the channel, but I've got a Substack, guys. I write pretty regularly, write articles over on my Substack. To warn you, though, you might not like some of them because I'm talking about things that are quite, they're tough truths, all right? They're tough truths in my Substack, and things that I'm going through. And so have a look here. If you're open-minded, and if you're open-minded to new ideas, new concepts, and within the animal advocacy area, like how to get the best out of what we do, and looking for the best ways to do things, and trying to avoid things that maybe are going to cause problems, and the negotiation, discussion, and all of that, then go to my Substack. I did an article on it recently about this exact topic, and that I think that it is possible for us to get viral content that reaches millions of people without resorting to things like that protest, and without resorting to things like insults and over-the-top screaming and things like that. It is much easier to go viral if you block a supermarket aisle and then have people smash their trolley into you. Yeah, you're going to go viral, probably. But going viral is not the only thing that we should be looking at, right? You know, imagine this. Imagine you get 1 million people see a video of yours as a vegan, right? And you get 1 million people see it. And of that 1 million people, you get some comments saying, this is great. And you get some people clicking a link and they're learning about veganism, and you can track it. Let's imagine you can track all of it. Let's imagine you get you get 10,000 great responses, 10,000, and it's like, oh wow, this is really good, right? You might think that was a success, that this viral video went crazy. It's very, very negative and divisive, this video. It's, it's a very, it was like that video of the supermarket with the trolley smashing in. It was super viral, right? 10,000 people did something good off the back of it. But then what can we predict about the other 990,000 people who saw it? Are they likely going to be positive or negative in reaction to that video of vegans blocking a supermarket aisle and people smashing trolleys into them and saying they have a right to pass, and the vegans saying, no, you don't? I would say it's pretty logical here to assume that of that 990,000 people that we don't know about, they most likely think the vegans are wrong, and they most likely are pissed off about it. And they're saying, what the hell, get out of the way. They have the right to pass through. It doesn't matter if you disagree with them. Why are you even there? Move. That's what most people would be thinking, I think. I think it's safe to assume that. So is it worth it to piss off and turn off 990,000 people potentially, just so we can get 10,000 people who are seemingly, reacted positively? I think that's a pretty bad ratio, to be honest with you. I think if we convince 10,000 people to, consider veganism, but we end up losing 200,000 people who go the other way, I think that's bad. Even that ratio is bad. So the point is that just something going viral is not in and of itself a good thing every single time. The viral video has to be something that we consider is going to have a mostly positive impact. And if something is extremely divisive, extremely controversial, it's unlikely that it's going to have a good impact for all the people that we'll never find out about, right? The ones that we'll never get any feedback from, it's likely that it's going to have pushed them the other way. Linda says, sure, but when do things go viral for the right reasons in regards to veganism? Cliff Grant is a guy who does great activism, very, very calm most of the time, reasonable, logical. He's had multiple viral videos, millions of views on his videos. One of my videos recently, I did a reaction to something disgraceful that a farmer was doing to a cow, which is on my Instagram. That went semi-viral. I think it's got about 250,000 views right now. I didn't say anything horrible. I didn't say anything at all controversial or mean or spicy. I didn't swear, nothing at all. And now it's not a quarter, it's 214,000, so it's nearing 250,000 views. Again, viral, but I didn't do anything. It's not for the wrong reasons, is what I'm saying. One of our video about the sarcastic video I did on Instagram. Actually, I'll show you. I'll load up my Instagram now. This video here, that was about just a bit of a comedy video that went viral. There's nothing negative about it. It's just a bit of a silly comedy video, but still went viral. This video here, because you can see the highlight now. This went viral. This was just a really nice conversation with the guy who was vegan. Went viral. Again, an outreach conversation that was very calm, very reasonable, semi-viral, 143,000. What else? Yeah, there's a couple more. I mean, this one here with Lewis Hamilton went semi-viral too, 161,000. And that was, again, pretty tame. Nothing crazy about it. So this is just my personal thing. The point is, it is very possible to get viral videos without going crazy, and not crazy, but without trying to be as crazy as possible. And so if you look through here, Cliff's channel, Cliff Grant, he just does basic outreach videos and has conversations with people that are usually pretty tame. I'm just going to try and find, there you go. Here's one of his viral videos. This was a pretty reasonable conversation, 237,000 views there. Another one here, 232,000, 361,000 views. Again, all he's doing is talking to people in the most calm, reasonable tone you can imagine. 103,000. He has a couple that hit over 1 million too. I believe Cliff right now is getting about 1 million views a month on this channel. And so, yeah, this is through, again, it's not through anything crazy. He's just having conversations. And so it can absolutely be done. And again, if you're going to try and get viral, if you're going to try and get viral content, you want viral content that has a positive impact on the world. You do not want viral content that has a negative impact on the world. Surely that's not your goal, right? And so please consider that, guys, when you're making videos and making stuff. It's not all about the numbers. It's not all about the views and the likes, and it's not all about that. It's about getting all those views, getting all of that attention, but making sure that whatever you've done is going to create positivity, is going to create something good in the world, not just be something that people watch and laugh at and say, what an idiot, and move on. You don't want that. I don't think you want that anyway. It's a tricky balance to strike, I believe. But anyway, we've fallen into, I went on a tangent there. If you want more info about that, like I said, get over to my Substack. That's where I discuss this stuff with way more, in way more detail. I popped the link in the chat there earlier on. I'll pop it in again for you. Now, get over there and subscribe if you're open-minded to these types of discussions and things. And if you're not open-minded, though, then, don't head over there because you won't enjoy it. But if you are open-minded, you will enjoy it. David should put a poll asking, are you vegan? Yeah, I can do a poll. Here we go. No, I'm going to do it differently. Do you eat animals? I'm going to do a poll. Do you eat animals? Yes, but I'd like to change. Oh, yes, but I love animals. That's a good one. We'll do yes, and I don't care about them. Can I add more options here? Yeah. No, I'm a vegan. Boom. There we go. Oh, there we go. It should be up there now. We have a poll there now, so now people can vote. Cool. We got some other videos to have a look at. We'll do a, let's see what we've got. You guys having a good time? Tell me something interesting about your day while I'm looking for something interesting for us to take a look at together. All right. I don't know anything about this video. This will be my first time watching it right now with you guys. I don't think it's going to be as annoying as the previous ones that we've been watching. Whoops. Started playing it already. Okay. Let's have a look. This video I saw, and it said 1 week of eating really vegan. I don't know if it's a joke or if it's legitimate that this guy spent a week eating animal-free food. But I thought we could watch it because it seems to be doing pretty well for the guy, views-wise. What do you think? Should we have a look? Let's have a look.
It's January, a new year, a new happiness, and therefore the perfect time to break old habits.
Is it dubbed? This is dubbed. It's auto-dubbed. I can't watch this. What's the original language? It's German. German. Does anyone speak German?
Zubrechen. Eine meiner Gewohnheiten ist es, recht viel Fleisch zu essen.
All right. I don't think we can do this. I can't watch it dubbed. So YouTube has this auto-dubbing feature. So it's like, it just like automatically does some AI English on top of it.
And so I thought it would be a perfect fit for the Vancouver Challenge.
Vancouver Challenge. It was supposed to say Veganuary Challenge.
Try to avoid meat, especially in January, that I eat vegan for a week, but not as vegan as you probably imagine. instead of eating vegan for a week and then eating a bunch of different substitute products. Firstly, they are highly processed and taste almost like the original, have a very long list of ingredients that are not really good quality and also provide pretty bad fats. I will try to eat not only vegan for 1 week, but also relatively unprocessed, because in my opinion that would be the way I would want to eat if I were to eat vegan, because let's not kid ourselves. With thousands of vegan sausage substitutes and bond meat mints, it really isn't difficult these days. Why am I doing all this and why am I avoiding meat when I usually eat it? Well, it tastes good too. It has great nutritional value. It is quick to prepare, but personally I am particularly bothered by the moral aspect of it. The fact that an animal had to die for this piece of meat, for example, is something that I always question critically and ask myself whether it is necessary. So for me, a week means doing without it, but not just that, but also eggs and crises.
Eggs and crises. I guess that was supposed to be eggs and cheese, but okay. I don't know if we can do a whole 25 minutes of this auto dub. It is so strange.
The rules for this week are very simple. 7 days. I try to get around 150 grams of protein or more every day. And the calories are relatively unimportant, but will probably end up at around 3,000 per day. The protein thing is particularly interesting, because that is often a point of criticism, which is difficult for many people and is also one of the reasons why I am not yet vegan. I am starting the challenge almost on time for the start of the new year on January 2nd, and of course I want to measure my previous weight on day 1. I was a bit shocked by that, because I seem to have gained a bit of weight in the last few days and now weigh 93.9 kilograms, but there is no goal to gain or lose a lot of weight.
All right. Yeah, I don't think we can do this whole video like this. I don't know, guys. It's pretty unusual for me, but it's cool that he said, I like what he said about that he's considering the moral aspects of his diet. And it's good that he's doing that. And it does seem that you guys, I mean, yeah, you can vote. You let me know. Do you want to continue with this video? Are you finding it grates on you, the audio, or are you happy to continue with it? You guys can vote. If you vote yes if you want to finish that video. Vote no if you can't handle that weird auto dubbing. I'll let you decide. We'll see how many yeses and nos we get. Because for me, I find it just a bit odd, and I don't know if it's I don't know if it's particularly watchable like that because it's just so weird. Okay, so we've got one no, we've got one yeah, we've got one just turn the subtitles on. Thing is, like, yes, some people would. Oh, there are no English subtitles, so I don't think we can do English subtitles. That's not an option. So we just got one yes, one no so far. All the other 68 of you haven't voted yet. German audio, English subs can't be done, mate. Sorry. Okay, someone doesn't mind? No, can't watch this video. Yeah, someone says no. Yeah, there's more no's coming in. Oh, there's a yes. You guys, I'll leave it to you. I'm just going to keep on just waiting for your answers. Got another no. I think we're going to have to skip it. It's a shame because it seemed like it would be interesting also, didn't it? That's another no. Oh my God, you guys. Got no's, a lot of no's and yeses. All right, well, I'm gonna make the next answer. Let's say the next answer will determine it. The title was 1 week of eating really vegan. All right, we're getting some yeses now. All right, let's just get back into it then. Screw it. Let's just deal with the weird dubbing.
I just find it interesting to keep an eye on my weight in general. And what I am also interested in is how my skin will change, because people often say that it can improve if you avoid dairy products, which I eat a lot of in my everyday life. We will compare the skin's appearance together with the previous shape and weight with the values at the end of the video. But before the week starts, I obviously have to do a big shopping trip, and it looks something like this. We can already see a lot of classics like red kidney beans, which of course have a lot of protein, but also tempeh. But I'm still a bit worried. So, the question I'm asking myself most is how am I going to get my protein this week? Because I would normally buy cottage cheese and meat and eggs. I know that has a lot of protein, and here I have so much stuff. Most of it just vegetables. I'm feeling a little lost with the shopping, to be honest. Something like this could definitely carry me away, right? Lentil noodles with 28 grams of protein per 100 grams. But there's only one.
This thing is that he's saying he's a bit lost, and this is what I was getting at earlier. It's why it's so important to get the right support, right? Because he's looking around, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure what to buy." And a lot of people have this exact same issue when they first go vegan. When they first go vegan, like entirely vegan, or if they're just switching to an animal-free diet. They're like, oh, what do I do? What do I buy? And yeah, he's kind of doing it live for us. But a great way to avoid having all this confusion and not really knowing is to sign up to something like challenge22.com. That's challenge22.com. It's completely free forever. They're always free. It's run by qualified volunteers who will help you figure this kind of stuff out before you go out to the supermarket. People who are qualified in nutrition, diet, and things like that. And it's totally free, completely free support. So check it out.
1 pack of that left. This huge purchase that you can see has cost me just 136 euros. I don't think that's a lot. When I only ate God's food for a week and bought animal products, it cost twice as much.
As we were saying earlier, remember, when you buy food properly, when you're looking for the things that are the cheapest, he's just said his grocery bill was half. Now that he's eating vegan, half what he was spending before. That's crazy. Crazy good.
This is the first meal of my week with 668 calories, 120 grams of carbohydrates, 20.6 grams of protein and 6.8 grams of fat. On the first day today, I'm just trying to eat intuitively, as I think about how I might get my protein somehow without having to plan anything for ages. I'll see where I end up today. What I've already noticed is that it was really difficult to get a source of protein at breakfast, and I want to consume at least 150 grams of protein during this experiment. Here I have just 20 buckwheat flakes, a lot of fruit, and because I noticed that without this milk I would only have 10 grams of protein, I added a little water, which is why it has such a watery consistency. I will definitely not be lacking in carbohydrates. The whole thing will definitely fill me up. There will also be endless stress substances, but let's see what I have for lunch and dinner today.
He's saying he was struggling to get protein in his breakfast. You easily just add a bit of add some nuts or seeds to it. That would easily bump it up. Also, you could get there are these pretty cool, I don't know where he lives, I guess Germany, but you can get this cereal that's like really high protein, like cereal. I can't remember what was it made from. It was like these little soy puffs or something like that. And they were absolutely packed with protein. And you don't even need that much of them. Just have like some like half a cup or quarter cup of them on top of this. And it would just bulk it up a little bit more.
I think it will definitely be quite a lot in terms of quantity. Porridge is quick, relatively healthy, inexpensive and keeps you full for a long time. So a great start to the day and to this experiment. 2 hours after I've eaten the meal, I'm still relatively full and it only has 300 calories. I made a bit of a mistake with the training, because I actually wanted to go training now, but it's been delayed a bit. That's why I'm having another meal now. I've got one of those PR me meal things here. I actually didn't want to eat it on the first day because I wanted to cook things myself, but otherwise it would go bad because I'd already defrosted it. That's why I'm making it now. 500 calories, 27 grams protein, and to spice it up a bit, I'm putting tempeh in here. Tempeh, for those who don't know it, are soybeans and it looks like it's been fermented. There are a few spices on the back. The whole thing is pretty natural, because you just take the soybeans and then add a fungus. Then the whole thing is fermented for 24 to 48 hours in a bit of heat. That means that this fungus starts to eat away at the beans too. And then you have a layer here. The whole thing makes it lighter, more digestible, easier to digest, better for us, and has a bit more protein than normal soy. In this case we have 18 grams protein per 100 grams and just 149 calories. Well, that's really a great result. And what many people out there don't know is that you can actually eat a tempeh block as it is, because the sobrods are already cooked. So you'd have 40 grams of vegan protein on the go in a hearty form with just 300 calories.
I never thought about that. That's actually really funny that you basically got like a protein bar if you just buy a block of tempeh. That's funny.
Here we've combined lentil pasta with lentil protein, soy protein, a bit of chickpeas, i.e. various protein sources. I ate this lunch while doing a bit of work on the laptop, which actually tasted really good and was also pleasantly filling, which was very good, because of course I'm doing my sport this week like usual and my performance in the gym was extremely good. I didn't feel tired from the food or anything else, I just felt fit and ready for a good workout, which probably also contributed to this was my new outfit by Gymshark, because it accentuates the figure like a voiceover track. The items, for example, have just come out and with the code Franklin10 you get a 10% I recommend effect on exercise.
Oh.
But also how you feel on the day and clothes can really contribute to that. That's why and finally, I went home and there was a massive post-workout meal waiting for me. I almost knew that I wouldn't go to bed hungry today. But I didn't think that I would go to bed overly full, because if I eat this, I've only consumed 3,000 calories today and exactly 150 grams of white, so 151. The training was great. I'm not hungry yet, to be honest. So, it's 8:32 p.m., it's evening. And yes, this fiber just keeps you full for a really, really long time. But I really have to mix together a really wild dinner here with a bowl of rice and then a whole pack of kidney beans, broccoli, macadamia nuts and tofu again. I actually want to do this challenge somehow without just eating tofu all the time. I think it can't be that if you're vegan and you want to get your protein somehow, you only have to eat tofu all the time. Tofu or some variation of tofu. But otherwise I wouldn't have gotten the protein and I'm only eating 150 grams normally.
So yeah, he's going to want to use this. If you're looking for easy sources of protein, because he's like a bodybuilder or like he's an athlete, you're going to be looking at the tofu, like he said. There's also the tempeh, like he said. There's also seitan, which is another good option as well. But the thing is, people who train and are aiming high to like busy lives, good training, good nutrition, enough protein to get by, they're almost all having a protein powder supplement, either mixed into the breakfast or drinking it or both, you know? And so like he's doing a challenge here just to try and see like, oh, can I just get all my protein from eating? Which is fine. It's fine if you want to do that. But as he's finding out, it does require a lot more eating, which is why a lot of people choose not to do that. They just, go just drink the protein. It's just makes life a little easier, right? It means you don't have to keep on eating so much. And like I said, even this is not a vegan specific thing. Most people, vegan or not, have the same mindset where they're like, I don't want to spend all day eating. I don't want to have a big full stomach all the time. So I'm just going to drink protein powder like once or twice a day. And a lot of people now are actually going for the vegan protein powders because the whey powder bloats you quite a lot if you have a lot of it. So lots of people are like lactose intolerant or lactose sensitive to lactose. So yeah.
Normally I would eat 200, so this is already quite a challenge and we'll see if I can even manage it here. A little sauce on top probably isn't a huge highlight in terms of taste. Loads of rice, so it's definitely diet friendly so far, but to be honest, without tofu and coconut or any protein shakes, after day one I think to myself, how is that supposed to be doable? I can't eat like that every day, or maybe I can. I don't know. Day one in any case, I manage it. I feel good so far. Let's see how the next few days go and how it goes. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe one day I'll do a month and then we'll look at it completely from a health perspective, as far as blood values are concerned. You could also compare it really well with a vegan month versus a carnivorous month, and then you have the direct contrast and see how the blood values develop and what happens as a result. I'm enjoying it here now. Sick. 3000 calories, 150 grams protein. Dude, what can I do? No man, dude, no one can eat that. You have to get such a big meal down first. So I did it like a calorie challenge and sat down on the couch. I loaded up a good round of Fortnite and just munched away whatever I could get into my hamster cheeks. And this self-experiment reminds me a little bit of this trend where you are God's food, only vegan, so to speak. It took me a total of 30 minutes to eat this bowl, and after that one was very full and ready for bed. And day 2 started for me actually the way it usually starts, with a coffee that is of course vegan. But what is partly vegan in coffee is the milk. But I have been doing without cow's milk for years and drink this barista style made from pea protein, which I can really recommend. The fact that I can just carry on drinking my coffee the way I do anyway makes this experiment a lot easier for me. But because of this extreme change in diet, I have no idea how many calories and protein these meals have. So I tracked my food every single day and found that this small package of corn and cream cheese, of which I normally eat 2 pieces, has just as much white as this fatty porridge. So
just as much. When he says white, he's saying protein, because in German protein is Weiße, I think, which sounds obviously like white. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I realized that I slowly had to change something, even though I enjoyed it, and on the second day, just like the first day, it gave me good energy and strength for training. At 7:13 p.m. I had a delicious looking dinner, which I also enjoyed, but after this at the latest I noticed the first major negative consequence of this experiment and diet. Day 3 of 7, eating vegan, and I'm telling you, I feel like a walking whoopee cushion. Every 10 to 15 minutes air comes out of the back that doesn't smell good. And last night after dinner it was even worse. Well, I wonder if it will get better at some point, but I also had a bloated stomach and things like that all the time. I think that's because of all the pollutants, because they really put a lot of strain on the digestion, but it's healthy. So the pollutants are healthy and I think the digestion can get used to them and it will get better over time. But
I don't know what the translation some of these are, the pollutants translation. I don't know what that means, but yeah, he's added a lot of fiber into his diet, and so yeah, it's going to make you gassy. And yeah, it's a common thing in with vegans. A lot of vegans have a little bit of gas, not to the point of like pain gas, like, oh, I'm in pain, but yeah, you fart, you eat more fiber, you fart more, like it, and some people it goes away after a couple of weeks or months or whatever, and some people it depends on certain foods, like for example things like, what are they called? I don't know what the type of food is, but broccoli and cauliflower are ones that are generally like pretty gassy for most people. Actually, beans, obviously, these ones can kick things up a notch, but aside from that, yeah.
Something will change today, because we're going to eat enough protein today. I'm going to think of 10 eggs. Just kidding, even though I fart a lot. I have to say that this vegan diet hasn't been a big problem so far, so it's not difficult to eat a vegan diet now, and this will probably annoy some of you who have nothing to do with it because you don't do weight training. It's still about the protein for me. It's just more difficult. I eat really huge mountains, 3,000 calories, really protein oriented, and I only get 150 grams of protein. And in my opinion, proteins are the most important macronutrient, together with fats, because they keep you full for a long time. They are good for the muscles and have many other advantages. That means that the only problem I have noticed so far is that I am not getting my 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And of course I could just eat another pack of tofu, but that can't be the solution. I have to get my protein. Yes, come on, then I'll just eat 7 packs of tofu. No, that's why I ordered a vegan protein powder from My Protein, and this one combines 2 protein sources, colored raw protein and pea protein. It smells pretty good anyway. Normally vegan protein powder doesn't taste that great. How much of it should we put in? How much protein does it have per 100? 71% protein, that's a lot. Instead of eating protein powder all the time, I'm just going to mix 60 grams here. And breakfast now looks like this and has significantly more protein than 27 grams.
Yep, that's what I was saying. A bit of protein powder in your cereal, or mixed in with the oats, or that other thing I was mentioning, those kind of like protein soy pieces that you can put into a breakfast. Like, they're not savory. They are actually, well, they don't taste of anything, so they can be sweet or savory. They're the options. But yeah, this is a pretty easy option.
I'd have to eat about 3 of those packages of cream cheese for that, and the taste is easy. Sure, I've just tried it in a shake, the powder, the consistency is perfect, but the bottom line is that I don't think any vegan protein powder comes close to whey. It just tastes a little better, but it's nice that there's an option for both sides. And with the code Franklin, you can always save as much as possible on both normal W and vegan protein powder at Me Protein. Just like many other products. And right now in January, you can get the
2
stuff
ads. This guy's going in
for
hard.
about half price. That I won't be real vegan.
Go from here.
Supplements now. That will make the whole thing too easy, and also somehow distort the meaning of this real vegan, as I have defined it for myself. Because in my normal diet, I also drink about 1 protein shake a day, and that is actually a good equivalent. Similar to my normal diet, where I also eat relatively unprocessed food, I still think that you should leave room for a few things, such as a shake or a portion of protein powder. In this case, it was the perfect addition to my breakfast. I didn't eat anything for breakfast today. It's now 7 p.m. I just trained, and hey, I've been so bloated all day today and during training. I just couldn't tense up once during the exercises because I constantly had the feeling that a fart was about to come out if I tensed up. So the bloating has now reached a whole new level. So I've never experienced that before. I really feel like I need to pull the plug so that a lot of air comes out. I'll have to let the air out later, because for now I'm going to let something in. I hope that the person I'm meeting tomorrow has a good answer to the topic of flatulence and many other things, because I'm going to see a well-known long-term vegan. You're not talking about vegan. Louis, who is currently editing the video, will probably love this video. How much can Kat earn? But that's actually not as interesting as this, because I completely forgot to show you what I actually eat. Rice, then this soya strips that you boil in water, which has 70% protein. Although in this case that's lupins and pea protein. Broccoli, which also has a lot of protein. 200 grams rice, 20 grams protein and more curly broccoli. So lots of different protein sources combined. And now I'm going to look at lots of arguments as to why Levi should earn more money. Kiss goes out. It's day 4, folks, the next day. I'm on the train to Frankfurt to see another YouTuber. Because I know that I probably wouldn't get my food in the amount that I expected, I made MPR vegan and relatively unprocessed, and also for you. One of the lightest MP is actually a kind of porridge oatmeal that I've now flakes with protein powder again. Half a portion like yesterday. 30 grams of protein and a few vitamins.
And I'm meeting up with the lovely Stefan Pitts.
Hello.
What was the voice? I'm finding it really hard to follow with all that stuff he was saying in the train. Just then the translations seem to be getting worse and worse. But yeah, from what I understand, he's meeting his friend. This guy's a vegan, and he's going to talk to him about some more stuff. I think we get the gist.
Great to have you back, man.
Were you there in 2024? Yes, right? When were you? I
filmed 23.
I filmed 23 and didn't see it for a year. I was here from the boxing match and Stefan punched me in the face and we had a little bit to eat there. We ate too, we've been there before. Exactly, and I'm taking you there again today, because the food here is really great. Everything is made very traditionally, exactly my style. I am someone who is very rudimentary with the basics, and here you get the perfect happy meal. The real happy meal. You get real ones. I'm really looking forward to it because you make me happy with your vegan lifestyle. If I were to eat vegan, then I think I would try to eat like him because you actually set the criteria that I set out as a benchmark in the video and you implement it perfectly. You eat a very unprocessed, plant-based BMW with leather seats, and because otherwise the vegan community will come along and say, but he drives a BMW with leather seats. It can't be that he calls himself a vegan. And I did some research on that too. Are you allowed to eat honey now? No, honey is a product of bees. But there's nothing animal-based in it. In the end, it's a resource of the bee, so to speak, and that's why you don't take it from the bee at that moment. Okay, because I didn't know whether honey, for example, was vegan. We don't need to discuss what is good and what is bad. Everyone does their best in the end, and that's what matters. I always find this toxic religious perception to be bad, and that's why everyone can eat what they want. We show how it is possible. If you feel like doing it, do it. If you don't feel like it. I think that's really cool, and I think that's good for both sides. I've already seen in this 1 week how much fun I'm actually having with the vegan diet, and I eat meat myself, and I don't think it's cool. This, being, in one direction, blah blah you vegans. I'm eating even more meat now, or the other way around. Some vegans who get on other people's nerves. Everyone does their own thing. And one day one or the other will open their eyes and then they change their mind again or whatever. Before we go in now, and since you're showing me a meal that we're ordering now, how to put vegan into your lifestyle in a restaurant, help me with my problem. What problem do you have? I'm trying to help you. Since I've been on this diet, I've had the worst bloating of my life. So, what can definitely help you is that you have a broad portfolio of foods that aren't just beans, for example your digestive tract. If it's not used to beans and you suddenly start eating a kilo of beans a day, it's definitely a drastic experience for your body. It would be like if I suddenly started eating carnivores. That would definitely not be good for my digestive tract because...
eating meat, I think he was trying to say that. This is proper, what's that word? Dystopian, isn't it? With this AI voices. It's so strange. I'm trying to follow, but it is a little all over the place. The only thing I could catch that I thought was, no, I mean, I can't really say, actually, to be honest with you. I'm gonna let him finish this point and see what they're gonna eat, and then I just want to see the results. He's got these results, and he's gonna weigh himself and check his skin and stuff like that. I'm very curious about that.
Because my body isn't used to it, or if I suddenly used huge amounts of dairy products. So I can tell you that a broad portfolio of foods, balanced pseudo-grains, you definitely need fiber for digestion and of course lots of different protein sources. That will also help you to create a broad spectrum of a good amino acid profile. Maybe you can watch the video because that's exactly what I did. I really made sure that I incorporated lots of different protein files, but bro, I really had the sickest bloating. I couldn't even tense up in the gym because I was afraid I'd really burst out, and I just think it's the fiber that really kicks in. I think you have. There's the 21-day rule. That's the rule that says the average time a mammal, a human organism, needs to adapt to a diet, to an adaptation or to a bit, and if
You give it a bit of time, you'll notice that your body adapts to it too. I believe that. That's what I honestly believe too, and especially when it comes to fiber. The body gets used to it in digestion. When I eat a piece of meat, it sits completely flat in my stomach. Now, not with the food. I'd say we're going in. You're used to ice baths, but I feel a bit sorry for you outside. It's all good.
We put out a big order. I'm wondering, above all, how do you do it when you go out to eat like this? I don't want to order one of those Beyond Meat burgers that are full of random things, but really healthy things here. What do we have here? Lentils, lentils, exactly. This is lentil soup, this is spinach salad, this is hummus. And exactly, there's actually a couscous salad with it. I really like eating that too. I have to say, I don't eat any substitute products at all. I'm not a fan of them because they're full of omega-6 fatty acids. You usually have problems digesting them later. Lots of things are regurgitated and a plant-based diet is often associated with substitute products. But it's hard for you to find restaurants like this one. I only have a handful of restaurants that I go to.
Yeah, he's got a point there that a lot of restaurants, they do focus mostly on the kind of like he was, not whole foods. They focus on making burgers and pizzas and things like that, which is great because the problem that people had with eating animal-free, vegan-friendly diets in the past was that they were all so hyper-focused on health that they were boring. And when people go out to eat at a restaurant, they don't want boring food. They want exciting food. And exciting food means like a juicy vegan burger and a juicy pizza and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, I agree too. And when I go out to eat, I don't want to eat something that I could make at home relatively easily, right? So I don't really want to have some like salad and grains and stuff. That's what I eat at home. Make me a burger, So I get what this guy's saying, and I get why that could be frustrating. I think what he was talking about earlier on with omega-6, I think what he's getting at is with a lot of processed food in general, and vegan food's no exception, they use a lot of seed oils, vegetable oils and seed oils, and they tend to have omega-6 in a high levels, some of them, or like the ones that are mostly used in like processed food. And I believe that if you have an imbalance and you have more omega-6 coming in than you have omega-3, it can cause a higher risk of inflammation, basically, and it can potentially have some issues for you. So it's generally not a good idea to. This is me going off the cuff, by the way. You'll have to go and fact check me, but I'm pretty sure you want to avoid eating or consuming too much omega-6 if you're not having a lot of omega-3 as well. Because if that balance goes out of whack, it can cause you some inflammation and cause some problems. I think that might be what the guy was referring to when he was talking about omega-6. I don't know because the translation has been a bit weird. But, and again, don't take my word on that. Look into it. I'm not a health channel. I'm not a nutrition channel. Here we talk about animals and we talk about the, we're talking about the ethics, we're talking about veganism, but these things are linked, of course. We need to make sure that there's information out there. You guys are saying you've not heard of this before. Yeah, so make sure you double check. You know what we'll do? We'll double check it together. Because I'm not a trained nutritionist. So I'm just telling you something that I may have seen. Omega-6 does too much omega-6 cause issues if omega-3 lower? Yeah. Apparently, it's a hypothesis and it has some backing that a diet high in omega-6s but low in omega-3s can increase inflammation. So I wasn't just talking out of my ass. But it's not that you should avoid the omega-6s. Like, you don't need to avoid them. Just need to make sure you're also getting enough omega-3s, right? That's all it is. And if you're not getting enough omega-3s, then maybe you might want to watch your omega-6s, basically. That's all. This is getting deep. Like, again, we're not a nutrition science channel here, so you look into it yourself. Ask somebody like Dr. Matthew Nagra, for example. I highly recommend speaking with him or watching his videos. He is actually into the nutrition science as a practicing doctor as well. So somebody like that would be able to give you a bit more like specific guidance if you're after that. And of course, challenge22.com, as I've already mentioned, is also a great place to go for that kind of question, that kind of information. Even if you're a vegan, actually, you could also join up there and just, as I say, just pop into it and ask some questions and be part of the team. You don't need to... You don't need to be not vegan to go over there, I don't think. All right, let's. I'm looking forward to this now. We're going to get to the conclusion here and see his results of this.
All the restaurants I visit, the next time we do a vlog, I'll show you other restaurants too. You can count them on 2 hands, and I know the owners. I know where they shop. I know what their own standards are for food, and that's everything for me. Otherwise, I only cook at home. Awesome. Okay, so this is the first time I've eaten out. Let's see how it tastes. If you go in here with one of these lovely lentil things, I mean, in the end it's like with us omnivores. When I go out to eat a steak, I don't just go and eat it at the nearest place. No, I also make sure that it's of good quality and so on and so forth. And it's the same nutritional awareness, only on the vegan side. Yes, protein here, protein there, protein there. You don't track your protein over the course of a day. You do it like this. I eat between 150 and 200 grams of protein a day. Wow, so far I've only ever eaten 150 in the experiment with 3,000 calories. But I only have 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day. And you don't have any shakes either, right? No protein shakes. So, to sum it up, what are your top 3 sources of protein? Lupins, definitely. Every now and then I eat something like that. I really like that too. Every 3 days I'd say. Otherwise chickpeas and of course lentils. I love lentils, plate lentils, mountain lentils, brown lentils. Yes, there's nothing better than huge lentils. Lots of lentils. My mother used to make lentil soup and I hated it a bit. Lentils aren't difficult to prepare and are actually an extremely healthy food, but I'm somehow addicted to it. Now let's enjoy this delicious food here. Wheat bread, which Stefan doesn't eat but I do. Dip it nicely in the hummus. It's got a decent amount of fat in it, but it goes in well. There are still a lot of calories to be had. Do you know those raw gangs, Boren and the like, who always eat raw honey, raw milk, raw cheese? Guys, I don't use social media. I just upload things. Raw, vegan or what? Whatever. It doesn't matter. Guys, I'll make sure I get Stefan and Boren Mullen in a video. I think it could be very, very entertaining. Do you know Fortnite? For me, it was a nice experience to see how I can implement what I consider to be a truly vegan diet in a restaurant. After we'd eaten that much, Stefan wouldn't let me go home without tucking in again. It's almost 6 p.m. and it's been 3 hours since the meal from earlier. I'm still full. So, I can tell you now, losing weight with a vegan diet, like I'm doing in this video, is really easy. I eat a lot and I really enjoy it, but with the 3,000 calories that I eat, I'm ultra full. And I would even say that I am quite full with 2,000. Now we are still on the way because we are not full enough yet and we still have calories left. On to the next spot. What can you tell us about it? We are now going to Z69, also a vegan restaurant. No, it's called 269. 269. That is a different pontoon. Earlier it was a bit more classic. Moroccan cuisine, very basic. They make their dishes a bit fancier. It is more suitable for the evening. Super tasty. You can definitely try it. Very well rated on Google. Definitely worth
stopping by. The last YouTube video with Boren just went online. A complete contrast. I have to go to the main station in half an hour, but we are going to feast on something here because vegan calories don't count. Similar liquid calories. Super cool. We ordered shakuka here. Then we had cauliflower from the oven, we had a super food salad and we ordered a kebab. Do you know what the kebab is made of? I actually don't know. I would have to ask. What's your kebab? It's
pea protein.
Pea protein. Very cool. So very high quality. Pea protein. Remember, always very good. No added wheat. Also for people who can't tolerate gluten. Pea protein. Clear added value.
I have to say, I thought going out to eat today.
These translations are amazing. This seems like a really good video, actually. It's a shame that it's not properly translated, you know, because it seems they seem really nice and open-minded, going to these cool places and speaking honestly and frankly about the food and about the nutrition. And it's not biased. It's actually refreshing, to be honest.
It was really cool because I'm just not the kind of person who likes to cook and I spend a lot of time at home, and when you're vegan you always have to think a lot about what you are. If I notice in the evening that I'm not getting enough protein, I just eat 2 packs of grainy cream cheese and then I've sorted the whole thing out. You have to be much more holistic with your diet throughout the day so that you don't end up having consumed too little protein or just eating junk or just carbohydrates or something. That's why delicious meals like this one are nutrient-rich, filling, fresh, unprocessed, delicious and, quite honestly, not that expensive. Wow, I'm awesome, right?
Oh my god, that tastes good, man, very tasty, thank you. It tastes exactly like real meat, guys. It tastes exactly like real meat. Insane. Must have amazing nutritional values. Wow, insanely awesome. Just look at that. I would definitely eat here. It's amazing. My dear singing club, the train ride home was no fun. After this epic meal with Stefan, you can imagine how I sat on the seat for the 4-hour train ride. We kicked the bloating in a different way. Well, that was part of my vegan diet, where I ate a really vegan diet for 7 days. I stuck to it for the last 2 days too. I then just made myself some meat so that I could really eat it all the time. You definitely have to plan a lot more ahead. My after weight was 93.3 kilograms, so I lost a few hundred grams. If you look at my before and after shape, you can hardly see any difference. It's a different light because I wasn't at home. I do think I lost a few hundred grams of fat because I was simply in a deficit. I found it very easy to be in a calorie deficit with this diet. Today is already a few days later. I'm on a wellness vacation with Sophia because it's our anniversary, and I didn't eat a vegan diet today because I'm not going to eat a vegan diet anymore. But this video showed me the advantages and short-term disadvantages of a vegan diet. Advantages in any case. It's cheaper than eating animal products, and much cheaper. For me personally, this week it cost half as much as it would have cost the same quality with animal products. It's extremely filling, in addition to the fact that you are of course doing something good for the climate. Although that is not the point for me as to why I would do it. You obviously don't have to blame the animals, and you can also use points such as cholesterol and the like, if you implement it as I have done this week. I think you can benefit from health promoting points. That means that my cholesterol level would probably go down in the long term and my blood fat levels would improve. You would see something like that if you did the whole thing for longer. Then the bloating would probably stop because my digestion would simply get used to these prebiotics and cope better with all the fiber. But at least in this phase with this tough change, it was really stressful in everyday life. I think this video was 30% about vegan nutrition, 30% about protein, and another 30% about bloating, and 10% about my protein and Gymshark placements. But I liked the vegan diet better than I thought. It reset my relationship with meat a bit, so that I will probably only eat half as much meat now, and will also be more conscious about animal products. For me, these outweigh very nutrient-rich foods, such as eggs, which I had this morning, and are still clear in my moral compass. In conclusion, I can say about my skin that I haven't seen a huge difference. My skin has tended to get a little better, though, and my face is less oily. So, if you had problems with that, a vegan diet might help you. Otherwise, everyone is an individual, and perhaps the disadvantages or advantages will be much more extreme for you, which would of course make me even happier. That's why I'm always a fan of it. The best thing is to try it out for yourself, and either way, I think you should always rethink your behavior patterns, and a self-experiment or video like this can definitely help. Until next time, folks, take care until...
So I think that was a really good video because this, unlike videos that say I would make, or that Earthling Ed, another vegan, would make, or that any vegan would make, getting a pretty good review of the nutritional elements, the cost elements of a plant-based, of an animal-free diet from somebody who actually isn't a vegan, or who isn't currently exploring that, or isn't making some kind of ethical decision, is possibly, well, it's not possibly, it's going to be more convincing and more powerful to get out there to an audience like his than them seeing my video. Because there's a psychological element to this where basically, if somebody in your own camp has something that they want to explain to you in a kind of somebody you're not threatened by, let's say, like an internal critique, but not really a critique, but more like a, hey, have you heard about this? Look how interesting this is. You're more likely to listen versus somebody that you see as an adversary versus somebody you see as an enemy. And like it or not, a lot of people automatically jump to vegans as like an enemy. And so they dismiss a lot of what we say, but simply because of that. Whereas this guy, he's not a vegan. He's far from being a vegan. He mentioned some things earlier on that he does have some concerns with how animals are treated. He's thinking about that, but he's definitely not there yet. And he was eating eggs, he was eating meat, so he's not a vegan. But he gave a pretty much glowing review about the protein on a vegan diet, about the nutrition on a vegan diet. He spoke about how it cost him half as much as he would normally pay in the week that he was eating only vegan food. He got his vegan friend on, who seems to be quite passionate about the way he eats and talking about why he doesn't eat honey and the ethical implications of eating honey. And so, this is one of the videos that can actually make a very good impact in getting people to open their minds. And I hope those of you who are watching this who weren't vegan and saw this would now realize that it's not just It's not just me saying these things. Like, this guy is far from being vegan, and even he highlighted the ethical issues with animal products. He also highlighted that you can be just as healthy as you are now without eating animal products. He spoke about how it can be cost efficient, just like I did. The difference being, I have an agenda. Of course I do. I'm here to defend animals, but he's not. He has no agenda, yet he agreed with everything that I said. Now, obviously, I came to my conclusion, and I'm a vegan, and I'm trying to get people to, I'm trying to encourage people to stop eating animals and stop eating animal products and using animals. Fine, I have that conclusion. That's what I'm focused on, because I'm focused on animals. He's not got that focus, so he came to a different conclusion. But it's not because he disagrees with me. I would bet we would agree, both of us, that being a vegan is the best thing to do for animals. The difference is, I would say that where we differ is that he would say he probably doesn't feel ready to make that step yet for whatever reason. And then that would be something that we would discuss if we ever met. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it was a very interesting video, and I think it was a good video. And I'm happy this guy made that video and was able to stay so positive about the plant-based diet. Even the negatives, when he pointed out that it gave him some, made him fart a lot and stuff like that. He even did say after that, hey, but that would be something that would probably go away if I kept on doing it for longer. So even the negative aspects of it, he fixed. Didn't go out there to dunk on vegans, didn't go the usual route that a lot of people go down, which is just make fun of the vegans, laugh at vegans, say everything tastes crap, say everything's boring and expensive, and make all this nonsense up. He actually said the opposite for pretty much all of it. So very, very cool, very interesting. This guy's called The Franklin. I know he's got other videos on his channel that are actually the opposite. He's got videos where he's doing, not the opposite, he's got videos where he's promoting eating lots of animals, and I think he's had some raw meat eaters and stuff on his channel. I think he was saying that, which isn't great, but this video definitely good. I think it could encourage people to listen to vegans and at least to cut down on their animal products. I mean, he literally said that he's going to probably eat half as much meat as he was eating before. So this experience obviously influenced him positively. Well, hopefully he keeps going down that road. He did say earlier on, one of the reasons he's not vegan yet is because he doesn't really know what to do. So yeah, you never know, right? For people over in Germany, maybe German activists could reach out to this guy and have some kind of the interview with him or something like that. Do a podcast with him or something. He's a pretty big channel, so if any other big German activists could invite him on for a chat, then that would be pretty cool. Yeah, interesting. See, with those challenge videos, 1 week of eating vegan, they can be quite frustrating, because usually it's just like a clickbait thing, so that they just want to dunk on vegans. So that was a nice surprise that he wasn't just there to dunk on vegans, Very cool. Let's have a look at our little poll. It seems like we got most people are vegan today in the poll. We also have 6% people who said they do eat animals, but they love animals, and then 3% said they don't care about animals and eat animals. 3% is quite low, which is good. The 6% of people who say they eat animals but love animals is a little higher, but that's a good thing that it's higher, believe it or not, because even though to vegans it doesn't make much sense, of course, to us to love someone and then kill and eat them, but at least it's better that they say they love them versus that they don't care about them. I'd much rather people say I love animals versus saying that I absolutely have no interest in them whatsoever. That would be a much harder world to live in if people were just like, no, I have zero interest. I don't care about them whatsoever. That would be horrible. All right. Guys, it's been a pleasure being here with you, doing the stream with you. I do hope you've enjoyed it in our short 3.5 hours together. Not a crazy long stream today, but still good sizable stream. Still, I think we did a good distance today. I think we got through some stuff. As always, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. If you're new to the channel, I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe. If you're interested in supporting me in the work that I do, please do check out the Patreon, which Annie just posted there in the chat, to be able to join my team and help me out. Also, you could consider joining the YouTube memberships team. There's the 2 options for you. Please do consider one of them. What else do I have to tell you up and coming? I don't think I've got any sneaky exclusive updates for you. But I will say, guys, please keep on liking, commenting, and sharing all my videos. Oh, and one thing I will say, actually, get on my Twitter, get on my Instagram, get on my Facebook, guys. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, X, whatever, X, Facebook, and Instagram, all right? If you're not already there following me and sharing and liking, commenting, and all my stuff there, do it there as well. That's a great way for you guys who want my work to get out there and further. This is a great way for you to be active, is to like, comment, and share on my stuff. It helps it get out there way more when you do that. And this can be kind of a way that you do activism through my activism, all right? So please do that across all my social media. Get involved and leave big comments, like comments that get, you know, conversation started and stuff like that, and it gets things going, get some activity. I'm also on TikTok as well. Go and check that out. It's David Rams wherever, basically. Just go look for David Rams wherever you are. I'm probably there as well, so help me out. Hey, Lee Richardson, thanks, mate, for the tip. What's your DJ name going to be? My DJ name? God, you're making me finish off on a DJ. It's probably just DJ Rams. And what else could it be? DJ Rammy, maybe. I don't know, Lee. Let me know if you come up with one in for the next stream, and then you can pop in and tell us all about it. Thank you again, everybody who donated today and supported the stream. Thank you so much, everybody who came along and just had a great time and stuck with us and enjoyed the stream. Thank you, Annie, for moderating, as always. Keep up the amazing work, guys. Keep speaking up for animals. I'll catch you in the next one.